Okay. All right. Let's blast off. ICE out of LA protests. ACLU protest at City Hall. Trump wants to arrest Governor Newsom. Madleen intercepted by iOS slash activists kidnapped. Funny TikTok, not really news or important. All right, hold on. Trump trade China talks. What about K-Town? I stay prayed up in K-Town. Are you kidding me? I go to Koreatown all the time. I mean, Koreatown is like also much larger than all of these other places. Koreatown is larger than Chinatown. Koreatown is larger than Little Tokyo. Koreatown is like a massive part of Los Angeles. Yeah, Trump's threat to arrest Newsom is pretty big news. No, I know, I put it in there. All that Rick got him mortified today, King. Yeah, that's right. All this Rick on me got him mortified. ACLU rally starts at noon PST. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go out. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna go out that early, but hold on. Baba! Oh God. My dad opened the door as the landscaper's working on the fucking backyard with the leaf blowers. Yeah, the SCIU rally for David Huerta is right now. Yeah. ICE out of LA protest, ACLU protest at City Hall. A/SEIU protest at City Hall. Trump wants to arrest Governor Newsom. Madleen intercepted by Iowa. Activists kidnapped. Trump trade China talks. Potentially going out to a rally later. Get in now. By the way, before people go, oh, dude, go out to the protest right now. It's like, bro, take Metro, impossible to get there otherwise. First of all, you're wrong. We found out yesterday that that is not the case. Okay. And secondly, you can't take the fucking Metro from West Hollywood, chat. Anyway, we're blasting off. Heard they're raiding Home Depots in Costco in Orange County. Did you hear it confirm? Yeah, I'm seeing some reports as well. I know a lot is going on, but is there any chance for you to talk about the guy that got 8 years in jail for racist ass jokes in Brazil? Glenn and other people are talking about it. Listen, as much as a supporter as I am of the Lulags, I do feel like it's pretty crazy to just like lock someone up for 8 years for not like even incitement, but making racist jokes. I don't know the full details, but that does sound a little crazy to me. I am, however, a Lulag supporter, but that is wild. Maybe a little heavy-handed, you know? Yeah, I know Israel's making the flotilla, the people that they kidnapped from the flotilla watch October 7 footage. Like, I don't know what the fuck that's gonna do, but incredibly stupid stuff. Uber to Vermont and Wilshire and catch a train into it as well. Hey man, when you guys make Nazi apology a crime, you can talk about the Lulag. Brother, I don't know if you understand the predicament that I'm in here in the United States of America. They are going to put me in fucking jail. You know what I mean? Oh God, my dad keeps opening the door so loud. They're going to put me in jail. They're not going to put fucking Nazis in jail. They're going to put someone who is an anti-Nazi in jail for being an anti-Nazi. Okay? Anyway, protest extraordinaire Cinemarsis says you feeling more hopeful after yesterday? Yes, I am. I am feeling more hopeful. I always feel more hopeful after doing the maximum grass touching, which is to go out to a rally or go out to a protest. Yes, I feel a lot more hopeful. New train stop is WeHo in the actual works. Not yet, but soon. They suspended a reporter. Yeah, I know. They suspended a reporter. I'm going to talk about that as well. They suspended a reporter for First Amendment comments, or not First Amendment comments, for saying like the correct things. Like saying that Stephen Miller is like a virulent racist. Guys, check your area for protest. June 14th, you could do maximum grass touching. Yeah. Listen. Interviewing people like Mélenchon, even interviewing people at the Japanese Communist Party, traveling internationally and talking to people, going to protests, going to rallies in other countries when you visit. This kind of stuff is a demonstration of solidarity, and the way I explain it, solidarity, I think, is a expression of love. it's the closest to having this spontaneous, decentralized group of people, group of community members coming out to the streets to show their resentment and their anger. Though your solidarity is selective, you're not really in any danger. Come on, dollar sign. Though your solidarity is selective, it's not. I don't know why you're saying this, but I suspect it's because you're a piece of shit and you're going to, I don't know, find something to get mad about right now. But good luck. Yeah, I saw this. This is funny. Do you believe Los Angeles has a right to exist as an Angelino City? We would stop if ICE would just release the hostages. Oh, you did not just go there. Yeah. Do you believe Los Angeles has a right to exist as an Angelino City? Come on, I agree with most of your takes. Okay, explain what you mean. Where's my solidarity selective to? ICE out of New York protests at Foley Square tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. I live near LA and I want to get involved. I've never protested before. I don't really know how to join them. Could you give me some details, please? I mean, these things are usually very, I mean, they're oftentimes spontaneously organized. So when an event unfolds, when an event happens, and people fucking get mad and require, I don't know, require the community to show up and show out and either one, immediately try to engage in acts of disruption as ICE is conducting what I consider to be unlawful, illegal, and incredibly violent deportation initiatives by casting drag nets around places of business and like Paramount and whatnot, then people just show up. And then the next day there will be oftentimes PSL organized, Party for Socialism and Liberation organized event. That's what we went to yesterday. Yeah. Did you see Gavin standing up to Trump, which is good, but he needs to do more? I mean, he's doing it in the most like... My older lib mom keeps saying that there's going to be huge anti-Trump protests on June 14th, but I haven't seen anything about that at all. Do you have any thoughts if you've heard about it? I don't know. At the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me say that the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love. It is impossible to think of a genuine revolutionary lacking this quality. Yeah, I agree with this. No King, Saturday 14th. People can go to the website. Oh, it's like one of those like liberal protests. That guy actually follow up with what he was saying in terms of me being selective with my solidarity, because I don't think there is anything he could find. Dallas protest today at 7 p.m. I will be emceeing as a part of PSL. Oh, they didn't. They just shut up. Okay, got it. Nice. 5501 in Austin, Texas, having a protest event on Saturday. Seattle 614 protest. March at Cal Anderson at noon. So what I was saying is, oh yeah, I know Vorlo, the tweet of Vorlo posting a photo of me saying I farted all around the protest has 70,000 likes. Congratulations to Vorlo for giving my haters ammunition. I mean, it's funny. I don't really give a shit overall, but congratulations, Vorlo. Once again, my fucking biggest fans. Who needs enemies when you got fans like these, you know? I know a lot of you guys are joking about it, but I'm sure that there's hella people who are taking it very seriously. How do you respond to this? What is this?
Do you support Israel? Do you love
when you wake up in the middle of the night, but your sleep paralysis demon is Israeli? What? What the hell is this, chatter?
Or do you support Hamas? There is no P in the Arabic language, therefore there is no Palestine, only Israel. Is there anything good with Israel? Or everything is wrong? Everything is...
I love that. Anything good with Israel? Or do you hate Israel? Why do you hate Israel? Anything good? Israel, small country. Oh, you must love Hamas. I know that there's a resilience convoy that is supposed to be coming from Algeria that's making its way all the way to Rafah. I know there's a march to the Rafah border from the Egyptian side as well that's being implemented, that's being planned. I feel like that's going to be more dangerous, ironically enough, than even the Daily Mail reporter got shot by ICE. He just turned around and shot her. No, I know. We saw this. We saw the Australian 9 News Los Angeles Australian correspondent from Australia got shot in the leg, point blank. And of course, the outlet itself is so ridiculous that they made it seem as though, you know, she was just like in the crossfire. Anyway, well, what is this? What is this video? I can't hear shit. Why is my
TikTok comments? Start a thread. Whatever. Hassan is crabs. You heard it here first.
What?
Well, how do I make it more believable? Guys, can you believe that my mom hooked up with Hassan and she came back with crabs? If you need proof,
Your mom is underneath the table sucking my penis.
read it and weep, which is just weirdly suspicious because she came back with crabs.
That's crazy. That's insane. What is happening here? Why are you guys sending me this stuff? Okay, here's the ICE raids in LA rally to demand the release of labor leader. That's already taken place. Okay, smallest Hasanabi head. What is this? Raised her so woke. She's vaccinated, microchipped, had bottom surgery, and thinks Hassan Piker is her dad. That's funny. That's funny. Okay, as you guys know, I already restored my beef with the cats. Like, no more beef. I got the playlist here, Themasius. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I had sex with Cutie Cinderella's dead mother. This is true. This really happened. Are you hitting the streets today? Potentially. Depending on how things go, yes. No more beef with the kitties. No more beef with the kittens. Okay, we're out here. We're no longer beefing with the kittens. Allegiances with the cats is back on the menu. This shit goes hard. Throw them on Insta, big dog. Oh yeah, here's a couple posts from yesterday. By the way, obviously, I reposted a bunch of stuff that you guys put on the timeline from the protests that we attended. Now, all right, let's get started. First and foremost, yesterday, as you guys know, I went to the ICE out of LA protests that were put together by PSL. And there were some funny moments. There were some humorous moments. There were some scary moments. And part of the reason why I did that alongside March, by the way, shouts out to March for always being in tow. Okay, always by my side, ready to fucking let it rip. You know, we had some funny moments like this one, obviously, you know, soy facing at the protest, that sort of thing. But the reason why I did this, as I explained earlier this morning, is because just like with the UCLA student encampments, I wanted to give you guys a firsthand account of everything that was going on. A firsthand account of everything that was going on and my own personal experience and how I felt and did I feel unsafe and to show you, like, was it truly that chaotic, or if it was chaotic, who was causing this chaos? Who was causing this commotion? Now, the reason why I did that, of course, is because we cover a lot of these protests. We cover a lot of these protests on a daily basis all around the planet. And sometimes we attend these protests ourselves, but like, I think it's important to show firsthand accounts on the ground directly, because I feel like it contradicts a lot of the testimony, or not testimony necessarily, but it contradicts a lot of the media coverage that you see about these protests, because the media coverage is short. It's short, piffy, quick, and hyper focuses on all of the high notes, hyper focuses on all of the craziest aspects of the protest, right? And when you watch it from above, even if you're watching it in real time, you don't get a full assessment of like who is causing the harm, who is causing the chaos, who is causing the instability. The media oftentimes also takes a sensationalist approach. The mainstream media takes a sensationalist approach, even when they're being shot directly by the fucking cops. Like, this is a great example, right? Cop in this clip deliberately lines her up, shoots her, literally turns in her direction from behind. It's in broad daylight. It's on camera. This is a U.S. correspondent for 9 News Australia. Okay? Lauren Tomasi. Let's take a look at what happens. I want you to hyper focus on this corner of the screen here. I'm going to show you.
This situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
Look, this guy.
You just shut the fuck up.
You okay?
I'm good.
Now, why did I show you this? One, because it shows once again the depravity of American police brutality in broad daylight, in real time, in 4K, okay, or 1080p, whatever. But the other reason why I showed you this is because the role the media plays is so defensive of cops that 9 News Australia, whose correspondent just got shot by a cop in broad daylight with a less lethal that is not supposed to be aimed at a person, especially not supposed to be aimed at a person at that proximity because it can be lethal at that proximity. This is how they covered it. U.S. correspondent Lauren Tomasi has been caught in the crossfire as the LAPD fired rubber bullets at protesters in the heart of Los Angeles. Dude, that's your own fucking reporter that just got shot. You're not even American. This is what I mean when I say the media, mainstream outlets, they have a primary responsibility to defend these institutions. They have to defend the police, even when they are the ones getting shot. It makes no sense. This guy literally, directly from that proximity, knew exactly who the fuck this person was. Like, as in, knew that this was a reporter, aimed at the reporter, and shot her with a less lethal rubber bullet from a proximity that could be lethal. Okay? But even then, the media is using passive voice to describe it. Even then, when their own guys are getting shot, they still use passive voice because their primary function, the primary role that they serve is to be in defense of institutions like the police, right? That's it. I showed you this because if you get your notes exclusively from mainstream outlets, you are going to lose a lot of nuance. You're going to lose a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. Another example I used was, of course, the ABC coverage or the CBS coverage where like the dude, the sexy war correspondent guy was deployed into downtown Los Angeles, right? And the sexy war correspondent guy who was in downtown Los Angeles was behind the police line and was like, oh, well, the cops are being, the cops were experiencing a barrage of like rocks and really dangerous things, water bottles being thrown in their direction. And it's like, he had to literally go through so many cartridges from deployed less lethal munitions and crowd dispersal agents like tear gas and pepper spray to fish out a piece of concrete to be like, look at how dangerous this is. And it's like, yeah, dude, it is dangerous. You're in full body armor, by the way, not the journalist, but the cops are in fucking full body armor. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But like I said, the reason why I went down there and the reason why I will continue going to these things is to show you a different perspective, to show you a perspective from the side of the protesters, because you are not a cop. You are not a politician. You are a regular civilian. And one day there will be an issue. If you don't care about this one, there will be an issue that you do care about, so much so that you will go out and you will want to protest. And then you'll realize the power dynamic and the asymmetry of power. I was a hater until I saw your takes on my city and what you said. I officially admit I'm wrong and that you're a good man for that. It's all good, brother. It always happens to be this way. There are plenty of people who change their mind in real time when they actually encounter me in the real world, or when they see some of my coverage on an issue that they do care about. Because when it's an issue that they do care about, all of a sudden they realize like, oh, I'm actually guided first and foremost by empathy. Empathy for those who have less power in the situation. Empathy for those who are vulnerable in the situation, who don't have the protection. And all of a sudden you're not seeing me from a negative lens that was deliberately crafted by dipshits who actually don't fucking care about you and are simply trying to farm content off of hey, fuck Hassan clicks, or because they have an antagonistic position to any kind of progressive politics. That's it. But yeah, as I was saying, my goal with the UCLA student encampments was to show you how different the reality on the ground was from the way the media was framing it. The LA protests are the same. It feels chaotic from afar, but the protesters are your neighbors. The threat is ICE. The threat is the police. And she goes, what's this right-wing broadcaster goes, what's the smoke in the background of your photo from? It's fucking tear gas. Ironically enough, this wasn't behind the Waymos. This is just tear gas that the cops had deployed. Why wear a mask? Please enlighten us. Oh my God, fucking blue check marks on Twitter. There's some of the dumbest people on the planet. Like, why am I wearing a mask? Because they're deploying tear gas, man. Do you think I'm wearing a mask to hide my identity? I'm 6'4". I'm wearing my own merchandise, and I have fucking 80,000 people watching, like on camera. I don't think I'm hiding my identity at all. What is this? Yet he's in his house making tons of money from just sitting on his screen. What is this? Oh, this is someone responding to a hater. Looking veiny, brother. Thank you. Blue checks are not people, dog. Not enough questions about your bicep vascularity and too much about the mask. Please wear a better mask than that, though. Don't fuck up your lungs, homie. Yeah. I have a fucking camera following me as I go through this goddamn protest. Like, obviously, you know what's really funny about it? At least in my estimations, one of the funniest things I always see, aside from like the people who first go from, you always just sit on your ass, you never go to a fucking protest, to, well, okay, you did go to a protest, but honestly, I hate that you went to the protest because you're a fucking terrorist. I hope they kill you at the protest. Okay. But then there's also my favorite type of person who's like, well, you know, gotta hand it to him. Gotta hand it to him. I guess he went to a protest one time. Calm down. And it's like, dude, you say this every time. You say this every fucking time. I go to protests literally nonstop. I go to rallies. I speak at rallies. I fucking fundraise for all the issues that I talk about. It's just, you have only fucking seen me through the lens of people who are not political at all and are just on the fuck Hassan tip. You dumbass. Stop watching those stupid fucking morons, okay? Don't even watch me either, but I'm just saying, like, don't get your information from these people. I'd really appreciate what? And then there's this. Yo, don't mean to get you down, but I was a little disappointed yesterday when you didn't use your platform to tell people to join the protest. It felt like you were just doing protest tourism. You have so much opportunity to organize peacefully. Don't be afraid of getting arrested for a few days. Chat will wait for you, big dog. Take permaban. That's it. Dumbass. That's why I'm there. What are you talking about? Oh my fucking Lord, dude. Some of you guys are so fucking stupid. Anytime somebody says, hey, can you check my last comment? It's actually really important. It's usually the dumbest thing I've ever encountered. There's never been a moment where I haven't fucking urged people to go out and protest. I always do. And if you're saying like, well, you didn't protest hard enough, like, what do you want me to do? Fucking blow up a Waymo on camera? Like, punch a cop? Like, what are you, stupid? Don't be afraid to get arrested. That's a fan, by the way. That's not even a fucking hater, which is ironic because that's what my haters say. My haters will turn around and use that opportunity to be like, see, even his fucking fans are like demanding more from him, but he won't do it because he's a fucking pussy. It's like, yeah, dude, I'll kill myself. Don't worry. One of these days. Don't worry. Do you think it's worth protesters coordinating their attention to media cameras, calling for people to join them in the streets instead of giving attention to the police? Did you hear about the security surveillance on protesters at University of Michigan campus is so uncomfortable even after they said they stopped it? Yeah. So where were we? What was I talking about? Okay, so yeah, like I said, a big part of what I'm trying to do here, obviously, other than urge people to go and also participate in these actions, but the other, Asman says what you did was illegal, citizenship removal. I know. Yeah, that's not how that works. Okay. So what I was going to say is the other reason is because, like I said, from my own personal anecdotes, I want to explain to people, like, to the best of my ability, what it feels like to be there, right? And be on the side of the protesters rather than the kinds of information that you oftentimes get. The kinds of information that you often get from the media that is one step removed. Like they They have an unbiased framework. Okay, but that I think they have an unbiased framework that oftentimes is biased towards power. Okay, and that in and of itself causes people who are watching from afar to develop the wrong opinions. Okay, because when you look at it from afar, like, and I know this as well, like I know this from my own personal experience, right? When you look at this stuff from afar, even when I'm covering it, it looks super chaotic, from top-down images of cars being burnt and all of this, like all of this crazy tumultuous back and forth, right? But when you're there, you have a feeling of safety and security when you're around the people, okay? When you're around regular people. And the only time when you feel unsafe is when you're around the cops. There's no way to explain it to people. I mean, I'm trying my very best, right? But there's no way to explain this to people other than just like experiencing it on your own. If you go to like what the fuck is happening, bro? What is happening? What is going on? Sorry, my family is just blowing up my phone. Jesus Christ, dude. What? Is everything okay? Yeah, people offering each other food, acts of solidarity, people offering each other water. There are field medics out there. You know what I mean? And Jesus, the only sense of danger comes from people who are armed and also have no legal repercussions for using said less lethal arms on the civilians there, or even tear gassing an entire fucking crowd. Like, that's it. And you have to remember, like, I know that the state has a monopoly on violence, right? As in, when the state engages in violent acts, that is seen as the norm. When the state engages in violent acts, that is seen as the norm. When you actually retaliate against that in self-defense, that's unacceptable. That's the real violence. That's what people hyper-focus on, right? But even before police brutality at these fucking protests, the first act that triggered the community to organize was literally a violent act that is supposed to be legally sanctioned. ICE raids at fucking Home Depot, ICE raids at Home Depot, and ICE raids being conducted in courthouses, basically openly admitting ICE raids happening at graduations, like at schools, where the federal government is openly admitting that they are not invested in finding criminals at all. They are actually there to fill a quota. These are human beings that are a part of our communities, okay? These are human beings that have been living here. These are human beings that are collaborating and cooperating with the federal law enforcement agencies, with the immigration authorities. And the price that they pay for said cooperation, for following the book, for literally doing everything right, they're used as pawns because Stephen Miller decided we have to get 3,000 people out of this country a day. And in an effort to deport 3,000 plus people a day, they also are shredding due process, constitutional protections that these people had, that we all are supposed to have. That is an incredibly violent act. That is unimaginably violent. That is so much more violent than burning a fucking Waymo, which, for the record, is not productive. I understand that. I'm not like sitting here and being like, I'm glad that they burned the Waymos. I'm just saying I don't give a fuck about the Waymos, okay? I don't care. Because at the end of the day, what I was trying to describe to Mason when we were sitting in front of the burning Waymos and we were talking about this, was that we care about property damage because property damage ends up harming someone's bottom line. It ends up hurting someone's financial situation, and therefore it ends up hurting their lives, right? Like maybe it was someone's rental property or something, and that's their nest egg, right? It's easy to say like, oh, who gives a fuck? Fuck those people, right? And I understand if you are not invested in anything, but what a lot of people fail to consider is why you hate property damage. The reason why you hate property damage is because human beings are hurt at the end of the property damage. You don't actually defend property for the sake of property. You are saying property damage is bad because it hurts people. So ultimately, if that is your driving force behind like getting angry at property damage, then you should be extra mad about the human beings that are being ripped away from their families. He actually clipped that combo here.
You on the front one?
Hey, look who it is!
We're going out here.
Are you streaming?
Tear gas is going. I'm on Instagram right now. I just got banned on TikTok.
Wait,
so
because
they're crazy. Yeah. So.
Were you down there?
I was just down there. We were just in front of the police. So
yeah.
they did a little bit of gassing and they're continuing to push people back, but everyone's remaining strong. So
Good.
Just got to make sure that we keep it up. Are you trying to get down there?
I was down there. We backed away after we were down there.
Understandable.
And then once they started flashbanging and gas, and moved back up here.
Yeah, I mean, we're still. So we've been obviously the big narratives that we're going to see tomorrow is like people saying that everyone's coming here to do just this, and when there's unrest and when there's unjust institutions, stuff like this is going to happen. Yeah. But how would you kind of quell the fears of people who support the cause but see this and start to get second thoughts?
I mean, it's property damage at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Look, we're right here. We're not doing anything, and I don't feel like I'm under threat. I'll tell you when I feel like I'm under threat. When the fucking cops are tear gassing us, when we're on the side of the road, even when we're not even on the road, that's like property damage at the end of the day is only consequential because it hurts humans, right? It hurts people's profit margins and therefore potentially their bottom line and therefore their livelihoods. But a lot of people worry about property damage for the sake of property damage in of itself. This isn't to say like this is all great, but
right.
But at the end of the day, it's not like a terrifying situation at all. Seeing it on television obviously feels a lot different than just like being right here. When you're right here, you realize it's nothing to be. That you're ultimately what is far more consequential and far more dangerous is the fact that ICE is unjustifiably kidnapping people, doing dragnets in neighborhoods, lying about how migrants are criminals, rapists, and then going after children and women and working families and people that are just at their job sites.
Yeah, I mean,
that's far more important to focus on than a bunch of people fucking, breaking a Waymo. Like, I don't give a shit. Fuck Waymos.
No, seriously. And a majority of
Yeah, and I think, like, do we really have to baby talk to liberals like that? Yeah, I mean, I think so. But even then, there are plenty of people who refuse to hear what I have to say. I think, like, XQC was live responding to it, and his fucking chat was eating his ass alive in the process because I saw something. I saw something that he was saying, like, he's like, dude, what if they burned his Porsche, dude? What if they burned his fucking Porsche, dude? Then he wouldn't say it's inconsequential, dude. And it's like it's so fucking stupid. It's so incredibly fucking stupid. Where is it? There's like a video for it. I'm pretty sure I saw a video. I think it was on Ostwit, the community. I mean, he's just hitting. Guys, stop sending me this link. Okay, I know. Yes. This is a joke about Emily in the community saying if Hassan gets deported, send him my way. Someone has to make sure the revolution is well fed with chicken and Puerto Rican cafecito, among other things. It's a joke. I got it. Hold on. Okay. It's fine. Like, no, I'm not even going to get into the weeds of the, like, Waymo is not like someone's personal property thing. Okay. From what I understand, he was saying something like criticizing why Hassan is wearing a flag. I don't know what flag I'm wearing. I'm not really wearing a flag. Claims Hassan doesn't believe what he preaches as Hassan is out in the streets in the middle of the anti-ICE protest. Crashes out about 9/11 jokes. Oh, he's wearing not a flag, a mask. Never mind. But I think there was a decent amount of pushback from his own community for this, so that's good. I'm glad that the juicers are on the right side of history. At least enough of them are. And they basically realized that like he's doing the fucking right-wing heel turn that he's been entertaining for a while already. Okay, enough with the memes. Okay, please, I need to go through like actual news coverage. And but basically, like, he immediately goes, oh, dude, you wouldn't have the same feeling if this was, you wouldn't have the same feeling if this was your own car. It's like, first of all, yes, you're right. There is a difference. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course. Of course. But secondly, even if someone were to burn my fucking leased car, like I still have insurance. If the alternative is like someone burns randomly my leased car, but in the process, that person doesn't go out and like, I don't know, kidnap someone, then yeah, that's a far more preferable outcome. That's what I'm saying. It's not nice. It's not great. It's fucking awful. But like it's such a stupid fucking take.
It hurts people's profit margins and therefore potentially their bottom line and therefore their livelihoods. But a lot of people worry about property damage for the sake of property damage. You know.
The worst part about this also is that he doesn't understand the point I'm making. I'm not saying that like, not only is it a false equivalence, but also I'm not saying like, this is good, this is great. I really love that they're burning Waymos. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm simply saying is the reason why people care about property damage is because it hurts people, right? Like that's the reason why you're supposed to care about property damage, because somewhere along the way, there is a person, a human being whose livelihood might be potentially harmed by this, right? And that person didn't deserve it, right? Like a storefront owner, a small business owner that has their fucking storefront smashed and has their inventory stolen, right? Like that person didn't deserve it. I'm not saying that they deserve it, but the reason why you care about that is because that's an innocent person whose livelihood was harmed. And if you care about the livelihood of innocent people to that degree, then you should absolutely care about the much more consequential, unjustifiable actions by fucking ICE, the federal government. Because what do you think happens to poor people that are simply trying to work, that are collaborating and cooperating with the immigration enforcement authorities, and for the false belief, the naivete that they have that this system is supposed to be lawful, they get treated like numbers on a board in order to prove a political point. They get fucking arrested at court hearings, right? At immigration court, when they are in the process, of like following through their asylum application. Okay? When they're at their school graduations. What good does that do to this country? It actually only has downsides, no upsides whatsoever. So that's my point. My point is, if you care about a fucking Waymo being burned, you should care about immigrants being burned, okay? Immigrants being shipped off to a CCOP facility with no fucking due process. That's infinitely more consequential to human lives, okay? That's it. Like, reorient your priority. Now, getting back to like Waymos in particular, it's as close as you can get to a fucking victimless crime, okay? You're impacting the bottom line of a faceless, lifeless Silicon Valley corporation. It's not good, but the reason why it's not good is not because like you're hurting fucking Waymo's feelings. It's not good because it's dangerous. It's very dangerous to fucking light an electric battery operated car on fire in the middle of a fucking crowded area, because a lot of people are inhaling those toxic fumes and it could potentially explode. Okay? EV fires are dangerous as fuck. That is the real danger. Okay? Turkish chatter. Yeah, I know. I'm going to talk about the Bernie thing anyway. But yeah, I'm just clearing up this misunderstanding because I know a lot of people have this misunderstanding. A lot of people get their notes from apolitical charlatans like that are basically hitting the fucking right-wing grift. The libtards are not helping their cause from a guy who does not care about the cause and is simply using it to farm some clicks. Toenail eater guy famous for never showing up to events, and the tooth blood wall guy famous for never leaving his biohazard house have some thoughts on how to effectively protest law. This isn't a third world country. This is Los Angeles. The point isn't to say it's good to fucking burn the Waymos. I'm not like LARPing, okay? It is dangerous. It is dangerous. It's dangerous to the protesters. Dangerous to inhale those toxic fumes. Dangerous to also dangerous to inhale those toxic fumes. And certainly dangerous if it explodes. Okay? But once again, if you have this kind of energy for Waymos, it's like, it almost comes across like XQC cares more, like XQC would be more mad if ICE agents were actually fucking deporting Waymos instead of immigrants. You know what I mean? Like if they were, God forbid, ICE agents would deport, or harm capital. That would be way scarier than the actual human beings. Like, you have to understand, you can only arrive at this conclusion if you kind of feel like all of the undocumented migrants or even documented migrants that are going through the application process, for example, they kind of deserve to be deported. They kind of deserve to be removed from this country's borders. Now, XQC himself is a fucking immigrant, so it makes it even funnier for him to have this dumbass fucking take. He's literally Canadian. And the people that they are ripping away from their fucking families and their communities are infinitely more productive members of society, okay? XQC does not know how to fucking put a drywall together, okay? In a matter of days. In the same way that the Latino dude that's like sitting outside of Home Depot that's getting fucking removed from the United States of America borders does, all right? Those motherfuckers are picking crops. They're fucking working. They're incredibly hardworking people, and they get fucked over. They should be getting paid more. They should be getting their proper documentation from the government, not being removed after spending years on U.S. soil as tax-paying citizens. Because think about how little this makes sense. Trump administration claims that they're going after criminals. They're going after rapist migrant criminals or whatever the fuck, right? Obviously, when anybody on U.S. soil is doing a heinous crime, they go through the proper channels. They get prosecuted. They go to jail and maybe even subsequently get deported after they go through their jail sentence. All right? That is the law. That is what's been going on under every single administration. But what is this administration doing? They're going to job sites. How do they know that there are undocumented migrants at job sites? Oh, that's right. Because they get the fucking information from the IRS. Now we know that the IRS is collaborating under the Trump administration with ICE. But wait a minute. I thought these guys didn't pay taxes. So how the fuck does the IRS know that there are migrants working at a fucking job site? Oh, that's right, because they do fucking pay taxes. So literally everything that these people have made up about undocumented migrants and documented migrants across the board is just entirely made up. Entirely. Okay? I'll take it one step further. These guys, why don't they follow the law? Why don't they come in the right way? Okay, well, I'll have you know, ICE, when they apprehend someone at a fucking courthouse, is actually apprehending someone and deporting them for following the law, for doing things the right way. Why the fuck is the migrant at the courthouse, dumbass? It's because they're going to an immigration court hearing. These are people who have been here for like 10 years. They have American citizen partners that they're married to, and the government keeps them in this limbo status deliberately, okay? Instead of giving them citizenship, they say, hey, listen, ICE has this protocol where they'll say, just check in with us every couple of months, and you're fine. You have authorization, you're a tax-paying worker on U.S. soil, and you're fine. All of a sudden, Trump comes in and the Trump administration wants to make a point about, black and brown people getting deported. Now ICE decides you're no longer fine. So they're punishing people for following the fucking law. They're not actually going after rugged criminals. They're going after people that are following the letter of the fucking law. What happened? What happened to deporting rapists? None of it makes sense when you think about it. Anyway, here's Trump live speaking about the LA protests.
It's costing hundreds.
The actual criminal, by the way.
They thought it was going to cost. It's not even believable. To Brad and to people sitting here, would you believe that a train, it was going to cost X dollars and it might be 100 times X?
Would have paid for this for about 50 million American children.
You're right.
50 million American children instead of a 3-mile train track that never got built.
We could have put Lincoln in charge with no experience. He would have done a good job. I guarantee you that. All right, please, Peter.
Mr. President, have you gotten an update from your negotiating?
Thank you, President Trump. So it seems like Gavin Newsom likes
the attention that he's getting right now from
I do.
you.
Yeah, I think
it seems like he does.
Wow, what a question, Peter Douchey. Thank you, Fox News' Peter Douchey.
History, somebody who was running for president,
Peter Douchey doing brilliant journalism here.
Had a mugshot. You could make the argument that politically that wound up helping you. Are you worried at all at this moment that talking about him getting arrested could be helpful to his political prospects? Because a lot of people think he wants to be sitting right where you are.
Well, in my case, it was a witch hunt, and everybody knew it. And I was able to explain that during the process. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And it was a total witch hunt. It's proven to be a witch hunt, and you see what's happened. In his case, it really is very obvious. You look at what's happened between the fires, I could name 10 things right now. We talk about the trains. We talk about all of the costs in California. You talk about all of the people that are flowing in, destroying life.
Yeah, Trump is a simple man. When it happens to me, it's bad. When I do it to others, it's good and perfectly valid.
Right around
I mean, he demonstrated this when he talked about how the government's coming after him for like misrepresenting a bunch of classified documents that he had kept. Okay, and he literally said it's bullshit that they're coming after me, but it's actually good that they're coming after Joe Biden, and they should throw the book at Joe Biden and maybe even throw him in prison.
Under law.
Well,
But-
you know, it's interesting. You watched the same clips as I did. Cars burning all over the place, people rioting. And by the way, we stopped it. We were able to make it much better, but it still looked pretty bad. And,
No, you didn't.
In watching clips last night, people were saying this is really a big problem. And until we went in, if we didn't do the job, that place would be burning down just like the houses burned down. They were in big trouble last night, Peter. You know it. And the night before, and the night before that. And I feel we had no choice. I don't want to see happen what happened so many times in this country. I watched Minneapolis burn. Look at what happened in so many different parts of California. You take a look at what happened in San Diego. There's so many different places where we let it burn. We want to be politically correct. We wanted to be nice. We want to be nice to the criminal. And what you're doing is destroying the fabric of our life in this country. No, we did the right thing. We've been given credit by people that I would least suspect. Why I would say that some of the people that came in and said, thank goodness, they said, some of them, thank God that Trump got involved. And I'm very happy I got involved. And I think Gavin, in his own way, is probably happy I got involved. Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
What do you make of the fact that he says, you want a civil war on the streets of America?
No, it's just the opposite. I don't want a civil war. A civil war would happen if you left it to people like him. And I liked him. You know, I always got along with him. Never had a problem with him. But he's grossly incompetent. Okay.
In London, have you gotten an update from your team in London negotiating?
What? Louder.
Have you gotten an update from your team in London negotiating the China trade talks?
We are doing well with China. China's not easy, just like your home country is not easy, Dara. I think we're doing very well. They're over there now. I'm only getting good reports. It's a little early, but they'll be calling in soon. In fact, probably when I get back, I'll have my first call from them. We want to open up China. And if we don't open up China, maybe we won't do anything. But we want to open up China. It'll be a great thing for China, a great thing for the rest of the world.
Are you willing to lift export controls when it comes to China? Did you give your negotiators any sort of limitations?
We're going to see. Look, China has been ripping off the United States for many years. Nobody charged them 10 cents. No president had the courage to charge China for whatever reason. They didn't want to do it. I took in hundreds of billions
the China
of
stuff
dollars.
is
I put
awesome.
on tariffs on China.
He's
when I
just
got in
backing
first
down
time.
so goddamn
And
hard
we took
again.
in hundreds of billions of dollars, and then I did it again, but I did it for a lot of others. If you look at the stats, the deficit last month was cut in half. Everybody was shocked. I wasn't shocked. I think a lot of the people at this table weren't, because they saw the billions of dollars that were pouring in, and the tariffs hadn't even started yet, just about. They were in cars. They were in some countries at a very minor level. And we cut the deficit in half, and it was a big story a couple of days ago. They said, I don't believe, one of the announcers on a business network went wild, said, I can't believe these numbers. Those numbers are good. The numbers are going to be very good. I think we're going to have a great 4 years. You know, we had the greatest economy in history during my 4 years. I think this one's going to blow it away.
Are
Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Do you have a message for Greta Thunberg, and did she come up on your call with the Prime Minister today?
Well, she's a strange person. She's a young, angry person. I don't know if it's real anger. It's hard to believe, actually, but I saw what happened.
Yeah, why would anybody be angry about genocide?
She's certainly different. Anger management. I think she has to go to an anger management class. That's my primary recommendation for her.
Kidnapped by Israel, as she says? Was she kidnapped?
I find it. I think Israel has enough problems without kidnapping Greta Thunberg.
And secondly, are you going to
Is that what she said? She was kidnapped by Israel?
Yes, sir. Are you going to get rid of the Tesla and the Starlink service that you have here at the White House?
No, I haven't heard that. I mean, I may move
You all right,
Tesla
Chatter?
around a little bit, but I don't think we'll be doing that with Starlink. It's a good
You good?
service.
Where are you going to move
We
it
need
to?
a Hassan Diddy collab.
Move it
You
around.
fucking
What do you
all right?
mean?
Your
I have a
brain's
lot of
good?
locations. I got so many locations that I don't know what to do with them all.
About the Tesla, did you ever see Elon Musk get physical with the Treasury Secretary?
No, I didn't.
And I tried to
They
ask.
did have an argument, but I didn't see. I didn't see a lot of physicality there.
And there was this New York Times report that he did not want to talk about, Elon Musk, that alleged that he, towards the end of his time in the White House, was blurring the lines between recreational use of drugs and medicinal. Do you think he ever had drugs here at the White House?
I really don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. Look, I wish him well. You understand. We had a good relationship, and I just wish him well. Very well, actually. Yeah.
About aid in Gaza, you mentioned now the flotilla. Do you have a response at all about Israel intercepting this boat? And can you give us an update on what's happening to the entry of aid into Gaza right now? We've had people being shot by Israeli forces who are trying to get aid from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Yes.
Gaza right now is in the midst of a massive negotiation between us and Hamas and Israel, and Iran actually is involved. And we'll see what's going to happen with Gaza. We want to get the hostages back. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, please, in the back.
Yeah. You said yesterday when I reported that it was not insurrection taking place, but then on Truth Social a bit later, you'd said they were insurrectionists. After what you've seen
You're talking about in L.A.?
Yes, sir, in L.A.
I wouldn't call it quite an insurrection, but it could have led to an insurrection. I mean, that was a lot of harm that was going on last night. I watched it very closely. And it was amazing that the job that the National Guard did. And by the way, the police were working very hard also. But, you know, the police are given instructions to be politically correct. I said, no, you don't have to be politically correct. You have to do the job. Which one?
On Elon Musk, do you plan to speak to him on the phone anytime soon?
I haven't really thought about it, actually. I would imagine he wants to speak to me. I would think that. If I were him, I'd want to speak to me. And maybe he was already called. You'd have to ask him whether or not he's already called. But I'd have no problem with it. Well, I don't want to say that, but I would imagine he'd want to talk to me.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
We're supposed to get a counter proposal from Iran today. Have you gotten that proposal? And what is the main impediment?
We have a meeting with Iran on Thursday, so we're going to wait till Thursday.
And what's the main impediment to getting a deal?
Well, they're just asking for things that you can't do. They don't want to give up what they have to give up. You know what that is. They seek enrichment. We can't have enrichment. We want just the opposite. And so far, they're not there. I hate to say that because the alternative is a very, very dire one. But they're not there. They have given us their thoughts on the deal, and I said, it's just not acceptable. I would say, yeah. I don't know what else. I can talk about the weather.
Well, you can talk about Lebanon.
Pretty much that's the main topic, yeah.
Mr. President.
We talked about Lebanon also, yeah, we did.
What about Lebanon?
Well, Lebanon's working very hard. They have a great new ambassador that I put there, man I know very well. He's very smart. I didn't even know he was Lebanese. And I said, why would you want Lebanon? He said, I was born there. I love it. I love the people. I said, it's very dangerous going to Lebanon. There are some ambassadorships that are wonderful. There are some that are dangerous. I said, Michel, his name is. It's a he, Michel, very elegant man. And I said, why would you want this? And he said, because I love my country and I love those people. I said, it's very dangerous. He goes, I don't
Fuck him, dude.
This is not a man that lived on danger. He's a very successful man from here. And he wanted to be the ambassador despite probably a very dangerous situation he's going into. You see what's going on. But I had great respect for that. He loves that country. He loves it. He was born there. He loves the country. Yeah.
Mr. President, you've got a big, beautiful parade coming up on Saturday.
We do.
What's your biggest expectations for that? And I've got a second question in regards to Gavin Newsom. Go ahead and talk about the big, beautiful parade.
It's such a, thank you, Brian. It's such a, I think, important moment for this country. You know, 2 weeks ago, I was calling people and back and forth with leaders, including President Putin, including French president, including lots of different people. And all of them said, we're celebrating victory in World War II. And I said, wow, isn't that amazing? We're the only one that wasn't celebrating, and we're the one that won the war. Now, Russia did help. They did lose 51 million people, in all fairness. People would say, oh, he's sticking up for Russia. No, they lost 51 million people. And, you know, we can't forget that. But France was celebrating. And, as you know, Hitler made a speech at the Eiffel Tower. But when I spoke to President Macron, he said, oh, we are celebrating the great victory of World War II. And I think that's great that he was doing it. But we're the one that won it. And we weren't celebrating. I said to myself, you know, isn't that crazy? And I think it's time for us to celebrate a little bit.
That's crazy.
We got a lot of victories. We won 2 world wars.
That's crazy.
And then we go out and change the name of the
crazy.
forts.
That's crazy. It was Victory Day is primarily for the USSR. Okay, come on. It's for the partisans. It's for the resistance networks, and it's for the fucking USSR. Get the hell out of here, dude.
Changing back, you probably noticed Fort Bragg and others, but I think it's a time to celebrate our military. You know, we've rebuilt our military largely, little low on ammunition. That's because it goes out very fast to other countries, one in particular, but we'll get that back very quickly. But we have a military the likes of which nobody has. Nobody comes close. We have the best equipment in the world. We make the best equipment in the world. There's no military like our military. We showed that with ISIS. I was told by the television generals it would take 4 years to win, and we did it in 3 weeks. And it was headed by General Raisin Kane, who's now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's great. Just left him. No, I think it's time that we celebrate. And I sort of have to laugh at these people. Well, you know, you're going to spend a lot of money. A lot of that money is being paid for by me and people that make donations. I don't know if you know that. A lot of it won't even come out of the military. I think I can say that, Susie, right? We have people putting up money to do it. Not that it's necessary, because I think it's a great expenditure. We have many tanks. We have all sorts of new ones and very old ones, old from World War I and World War II. It's really a celebration of the Army. So the Army is a year older than the country. So next year we celebrate 250 years, but we're celebrating the Army on Flag Day. And it's not my birthday. It is my birthday, but I'm not celebrating my birthday. I'm celebrating Flag Day. It happens to be the same day, so I take a little heat. But Flag Day is the appropriate date. And we're celebrating 250 years of the Army, a great service. And remember, you know, think of it. We won so much. We won World War I, World War II, so much else. And then we became politically correct. But I can only tell you that I was told that ISIS would take anywhere from 4 to 5 years.
What? ISIS?
And we did it in 3 weeks. You were there. You watched, right? We have the greatest military in the world. Nobody can beat us as long as we have.
So I think I legit have Trump derangement syndrome.
We have stupid people.
Brother, that's hating this person is the normal feeling to have. Okay, he is narcissistic. He is a moron. I mean, he's charismatic on camera for sure, but like hating this person does not mean you're deranged. Not hating him and loving him, I think, is a higher indication of derangement. He does nothing for anyone. Everything he does is just for himself and maybe some crumbs for like some of the most racist motherfuckers out there. He is sicking the Gestapo on community members simply to prove a point, simply to offer a little bit of simply to basically get the most racist motherfuckers in America to feel better about their position in society, so they do not redirect their anger and resentment that they feel towards all of the real pressure points in society that's like harming them, capital owners, their bosses, their landlords, and the like, and keep up the attention on white supremacist values. That's it. Like the number of people that he is actually hyper focusing on is marginal, is tiny. And in an effort to get those people excited and get those people galvanized, he's casting fucking millions of people into the fire. Of course you're going to hate this guy. And he's doing it in the sweatiest way possible, too.
People come in by the millions who are overrunning your hospitals, your education system, and your police. Your police are being overrun. Look at what's happened. He should only be happy I sent in the military, because if I didn't send them in, you would have had a problem there, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. Yeah, please. Thank you, Brian, very much.
On supersonic flight.
Supersonic
yes,
flight.
sir. I know you just signed an executive order
Right.
on it. Do you want to see a supersonic Air Force One in the next 10 years or so?
Oh, well, I don't care too much about that, but I would like to see, you know, if you think about it, flight, the word flight's an interesting word, but it's probably the only category.
The word
where
flight
we've
is an
actually gone
interesting word?
backwards, because we used to have the Concorde, and we could fly to London, Brad, very quickly and nicely. And today it takes you 2 times and 3 times as long. It's the only thing where we've regressed. By the way, the Concorde, to my way of thinking, to this day, Michael, because you're very much into aesthetics, I know, but to this day was one of the most beautiful pieces of art I've ever seen. It was a piece of art, the beauty of the Concorde. It was the most beautiful plane, but it was.
Okay, he's not wrong about the Concorde. Low-key. Concordes were pretty sick. But they were incredibly expensive, and part of the reason why I'm fairly certain the part of the reason why, first of all, they weren't American. I believe it was French, but Concordes are dope. The issue is that they were very expensive. They were not profitable, and then they got shelved.
To do supersonic, get us back on the track. I mean, think of it. 30 years ago, we actually had planes that flew much faster than we do now.
What?
It
Shit
took you
like
half
this is
the
why I
time
don't
to get to
understand
a
why you think he's
location.
charismatic at all.
So
I think he's
we've
King
regressed.
Yapathon. Yeah, I mean, it's like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate has good camera presence, okay? He is a serial sexual assaulter and sex trafficker. But he also like, it's okay to recognize when someone who is a despicable, monstrous piece of shit has decent camera presence. And the reason why I say that is because it helps you understand what their appeal is. Okay? If you want to detangle the networks of influence that exist online, especially on the right, you have to recognize, like, what are the aspects of value that they present? What are the things that they say and do? It doesn't have to appeal to you, but it's still important. It's still important to recognize why people like them.
The finest limousine service in the history of our world, the most expensive chauffeur-driven white glove limousine service back and forth, we would have saved billions of dollars as opposed to building this monstrosity that's going up. And I've never seen anything. You know, I've seen cost overruns. I'm a person, I've always done well on cost overruns. I don't have them. But I will tell you, I've never seen cost overruns. You see them where they're 20% more, 50%, 100% more. These are thousands of percent. Nobody even knows. They have no idea. And it was supposed to be from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Well, they just made it way outside of Los Angeles. It's stopping in the middle of, I don't want to say nowhere because I happen to like one of those little cities very much, but it's way short of the destination. And our government is saying, you know, why are we involved in this thing? It's been handled so badly before him, but he really blew it. So, you know, all right, one more question.
Can you speak to any of the discussions that were had there and the purpose of that retreat, your time at Camp David?
On a what?
Your time at Camp David. Can you speak to what discussions were had there and the purpose of that retreat?
Well, I don't want to speak to discussions. I mean, I told you what we were there for a little bit. We had discussions on many topics. We had a group of people, large group of people, including generals and admirals and lots of others. And all I can say is our country's in great shape. We're in great shape economically. The bill that Mike and Jason and all the people are working on is going to be, I think, amazing. I think it's going to be one of the most important pieces of legislation we've ever had in this country. It's going to do things that you wouldn't believe. We're going to, I have a very simple phrase. We ran an election on very simple words: make America great again. That's what we're doing. We're making it great. We're making it safe. We're making it beautiful. And we're making it very wealthy again. Wealth is okay. You need wealth to take care of lots of other people. We have to make our country better. It has to heal from 4 years of abuse. Our country was abused badly by a very incompetent person and a group of people that weren't incompetent, but they were radical left lunatics. And they ran the country with an auto pen. And I hope that law enforcement's looking at that very seriously. That's like a takeover of our country in a certain way, because this guy had no idea what he was doing. You saw that during the debate. You saw that in other cases. I mean, he had no idea. I saw it years ago. By the way, 40 years ago, he was bad 40 years ago. We're not just talking about
auto pen.
They always like to say age, but it's not age. I know people 88, 89, 92. Bernie Marcus, who just passed away, was 95. I spoke to him a year before. He was 100% age. It's something else. But whatever it is, you can't have that in this country. The damage he's done to this country is unbelievable. But the good news is we've got much of it fixed already, and the rest of it will happen. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
All right. This piece of shit's done. All right. So getting back to the coverage. Getting back to like a big misunderstanding, a major misunderstanding is the reaction from XUC that like resembles, I think, the normie perspective a little bit. Like the normie perspective on the right is basically, dude, why do these guys burn cars, dude? And dude, that's fucked up, dude. It's so much worse than anything else, dude.
All great, but right. It's not like a terrifying situation at all. Seeing it on television obviously feels a lot different than just like being right here. When you're right here, you realize.
Yo, in the bottom of my heart, I'm telling you, he doesn't believe in what he's saying. I'm sorry, I don't refuse to. If he is, I don't know what to say. I feel bad. This is just, it's just sad, really. I don't know.
Migrants are criminals.
This is him trying to just hit the right-wing notes, like. From the bottom of my heart, dude, he's just bad. This is when you don't have enough like brain processing capability to like come up with a coherent perspective, and you just immediately start the conversation with like, he's saying something, so obviously I disagree with it. This is what happens when you're getting your notes from like Asmongold or Sex Pestany, and you have you've fallen into the rookie hole, as he likes to say. Because you've decided that your entire fucking view on this is whatever I'm saying, I'm going to interpret in the least charitable way possible, and then immediately approach it in an antagonistic way.
Rapists, and then going after children and women.
Like what I'm literally stating here is, if you care about fucking Waymos burning because at the end of the day that hurts someone's profit margins and therefore their livelihood, then you should be infinitely more angry at like real human beings being kidnapped, which is the inflection point. That is the reason why people are protesting right now. You should also, in real time, look at people being harmed right outside of the fucking frame of the camera, where cops are just basically pumping people full of tear gas, beating the shit out of them. Like that's real harm. That's harm that's happening right now, okay? That's harm that is happening in real time, in the background. My point is, it is infinitely, infinitely more important than the cars burning down, okay? Breaking, a full Marine battalion or around 500 Marines based out of 29 Palms in California have been mobilized to respond to protests in LA, sources tell me, and Hal Britz, CNN's Natasha Bertrand is covering it. Hexit had put them on prepare to deploy orders over the weekend. The deployment of the full Marine battalion marks a significant escalation in Trump's use of the military as a show of force against protesters, but it is unclear what their task will be once in LA. The sources said, like the National Guard troops, they are prohibited from conducting law enforcement activity like making arrests unless Trump invokes the Insurrection Act. Okay? Oh, brother. How do these compare to the police presence of the protests in LA back in 2020? Are the police, law enforcement more aggro? I mean, it's more or less the same, probably a little bit more aggro. for how marginal this protests have been so far. Yes, you are correct, but you weren't that clear and articulate when you said it yesterday in the clip. No, I was. If you actually watch the clip instead of pausing midway and start talking about how, or silencing me midway and start talking about how fucking, you know, how I'm wrong and bad and stupid, yeah, of course you're going to arrive at that conclusion. I said the exact same thing yesterday. Also, I said it in the middle of a fucking protest. Like there's explosive ordnance going off in the background, you know? It's going to be a little bit more difficult to be clear and concise. And even then, I think it was fairly clear and fairly concise. So, no, I saw it, but I found you far more clear today now. Oh, you mean to tell me that I'm more clear when I'm sitting in my fucking studio and not when there's constantly, not there when there's like fucking 3 on fire Waymos right besides me in the middle of a fucking situation where there's cops that are deploying explosive ordnance? That's crazy, man. You're right. So you agree with him? Why are we ripping into this guy? Well, that guy already acknowledged that was a stupid point to bring up, number one. And number two, I basically used more words to describe the exact same fucking thing now. Of course, it's easier for me to say what I mean when I'm in my fucking studio as opposed to being outside in real time while the protest is unfolding. And there are, again, explosive ordinances popping off above my head, you know? But XQC was reacting to that clip, not what you're saying right now. And XQC isn't very smart, so I agree with the chatter. I know XQC isn't very smart, but you know who else isn't very smart? You. Okay? Because what you're supposed to do in that situation is to try and understand the point that I'm making instead of immediately fucking silencing me and then speaking over me. But that's not what he did.
What do you think he would post on Twitter? What do you think he would say on stream?
Also, he brings up a totally fucking irrelevant point as a counter to be like, what if your car was on fire? Okay? Yeah. All right, I'm going to fucking start banning people.
If he came back to his Porsche on fire.
Wow, I can't believe he didn't listen to my point because he fucking muted me. I guess that's my problem here. If you want to hear what I was saying there without mutes, here it is.
Worry about property damage for the sake of property damage in of itself. This isn't to say like this is, you know, all great, but right. But at the end of the day, it's not like a terrifying situation at all. Seeing it on television obviously feels a lot different than just like being right here. When you're right here, you realize it's nothing to be that fearful. And ultimately, what is far more consequential and far more dangerous is the fact that ICE is unjustifiably kidnapping people, doing dragnets in neighborhoods, lying about how migrants are criminals, rapists, and then going after children and women and working families and people that are just at their job sites.
Yeah, I mean,
that's far more important to focus on than a bunch of people fucking, you know, breaking a Waymo. Like, I don't give a shit. Fuck Waymos.
No, seriously. And a majority of the people are here just because they believe in the cause. They're not here to like encourage this type of stuff. But this is always going to happen when there are unjust detainees and when there's people that are just being removed from communities simply because of what paperwork they have.
Yeah. Here's
bullshit.
the thing. There's a social contract, right? We have institutions. We have laws. And we have this belief that if we exist in a society alongside others, that our institutions are going to take care of us, they're going to be just, they're going to be honest, they're going to protect citizens. And when that falls apart, when that social contract falls apart, people are understandably disturbed, people are understandably angry, and they lash out. These kinds of consequences of decentralized property damage is an inevitability. And it's yet another testament to the collapse of this system.
There you go. Pretty fairly clear and concise, don't you think? Of course, it's not going to come across as clear and concise if you fucking mute me midway through the point that I'm making and then start screaming about how I have a fucking Porsche. Wow, that's so crazy. Do you understand? Stop watching people that are not interested in good faith analysis and are simply trying to cut content, not even because they have personally held convictions that make me their ideological enemy. Because XUC, at the end of the day, isn't even like a fucking right-winger, okay? He's just doing this because he knows people will respond positively to it. That's it. The actual right-wingers are looking for someone to say fuck Hassan to. He's grifting. Yeah, he's operating out of spite. He fucking hates me, and that's it. That's the only framework that he's using here. That's it.
It's unfortunate. Nobody wants to, I guess people pay literally to do this.
Oh, hey,
they go to
up?
fucking...
How you doing?
What do you call it? They go to like a rage cage. I've done it before.
Yeah.
I've been to a rage cage.
Yeah, we're just live right now.
Break a car down.
Yeah. That's crazy.
These guys are doing
Hannibal or maybe just Rex. Thank you for the 10 gifted subs.
great job with this. I guess my point is, this is nothing in comparison to the hundreds of people that got detained and will possibly get shipped off to CCOP without due process, which is now becoming commonplace in this administration. And this is still nothing in comparison to the... Oh, that one's on fire too now. Okay, we gotta move away from that.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I couldn't have said it better. Like, obviously people are here just because they care about their community. They're not here to cause shit, and even if shit gets caused, it's to bring the voice louder. Like MLK has always said, right? It's like, writing is the voice of the unheard. People are gonna do this shit as long as the government's unjust government.
Yeah, it's like, it's simple. Pressure valve in liberal democracies is supposed to be the election cycle.
Why am I not being as clear as I could be in this situation?
You vote, you go out and you vote for your candidate, and your candidate's supposed to fight for your interests, and you're supposed to feel represented. But when that doesn't happen, people understandably get angry. Where the fuck where is our government? We're in California, we're in Los Angeles. This is unacceptable. This many people are out here in the streets right now, not because they're mad about, I don't know, fucking some dumb, irrelevant bullshit. Like, they're mad because their neighbors are getting fucking kidnapped in what is supposed to be a sanctuary city, what is supposed to be a sanctuary state. And it also hits really weird when you're fucking standing in that crowd and you see some pig fuck wearing the latest gear. He's got fucking ceramic plates on. He's got a baton in his fucking hand, and he's looking at you like a $10 steak that he wants to eat. And it's like, I paid your fucking I paid your salary.
They slammed some 19-year-old girl down, like when we were down there, just for fucking waving a Mexican flag in their face. It's insane.
It's like, we all pay your salaries. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, like, we're getting tear gas, we're getting fucking flashbang. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw it earlier today, but Trump said, he was asked, where's the line, where's the bar, until we start having even more action like Marines.
Yeah, but 3 months ago we were peacefully protesting, and then they still fucking came 3 months later.
Trump said today, I'm the one who sets the bar. I'm the one who decides when enough is enough.
3 months ago, we were all out here peacefully protesting. We even took over the freeway and everything.
Yep.
No one batted an eye. But now that actual trucks are here, people are fucking pissed.
Yeah.
It's a sanctuary city.
Anyway, so yeah. Like, under normal circumstances, people don't just randomly walk up to storefronts and bust the windows down, okay? A person who does that is an insane person, all right? The reason why this is taking place is because of the unimaginable yet understandable discontent that people have towards the fucking federal government. This is what you get when the system collapses. We sit around and we watch the French do this basically every single week, okay? The French do this almost for fun, okay? They do this professionally. God forbid people fucking get angry enough here in the United States of America, though. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on now. And I will repeat myself once again. This is not me saying, like, you should always burn Waymos or whatever the fuck, okay? That's not what I'm saying. Like, I understand that that is a dangerous environment for all of the people that are protesting, okay? That's a dangerous environment. But if you are looking at this, if you're looking at this image right in front of you, and your hyper focus is on the fucking burn cars, the burn Waymos, and the profit margins of Google that owns Waymo, okay? And not on the people that are behind that are getting tear gassed, you, I assume, feel like those people deserve to be tear gassed. Like, you're placing a higher order of priority on capital than actual human beings. Actual human beings who care about other human beings, their loved ones. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It bricks my brain when I see the average liberal or average right-winger perspective on this. And now, with all the discontent, with all the anger that people feel, I guess, now Trump sees this as an opportunity to deploy the fucking Marines. Okay? These people will then turn around and say, well, the Marines are being deployed because they burned the fucking Waymos. Okay? Except no Marines were deployed to Philadelphia when the Eagles won. No Marines were deployed. The National Guard wasn't deployed to any city when a sports team wins or loses. Yeah. And of course, the reason why the MLK thing is prescient right now is because Bernie Sanders invoked it with a horrible old man take once again. Let's see what he had to say. I know the Marines have been deployed. Yeah, XUG says arrest them all. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. I don't know what else to say other than that. But here is Bernie Sanders. Dr. King defeated racist government officials and ended segregation through discipline, nonviolent resistance. Defeating Trumpism, oligarchy, and authoritarianism requires that same level of discipline. Violent protests are counterproductive and play right into Trump's playbook. Except this was the attitude demonstrated towards MLK from mainstream media at the time. I plan to lead another non-violent march tomorrow. Bernie Sanders, who was literally there. I don't mean this as a joke like, haha, he's old. He was literally there, okay? Bernie Sanders, who was arrested. Like, not only was he literally there, he was fucking arrested at a non-violent protest that the media at the time considered to be a violent, disruptive protest, is now taking this position. It's like, bro, you were fucking there. Like, here is Bernie Sanders arrested at the Chicago civil rights protest. On August 12, 1963, Bernie was charged with resisting arrest for his role in the Chicago protests against the use of Willis wagons. He was found guilty and paid a fine of $25. Also, notice the gear that the cops had at the time. Like, this guy has a lung dart in his mouth, bro, while he's arresting Bernard Sanders. What the hell is this take? Hold on. I'm gonna quote retweet this. We used to be a proper country. I know. Well, not so proper even back then, but like, the appropriate position to take in this circumstance is to say property damage is understandably a distraction. Property damage, or hyper-focusing on property damage, is a distraction when real lives are at stake, okay? Anyone who uses that as a reason to deploy the Marines, or anyone who hyper-focuses that, is basically playing into Trump's hands more so than the people who are actually at those protests, okay? Yes, apparently the Marines have now mobilized at the non-violent supposed to statement does other than lean into the hysteria that gives Trump enough momentum to mobilize the Marines on U.S. soil illegally. You were literally there at the nonviolent protest that everyone considered to be violent and unpopular, so I have no idea what this statement does other than lean into the hysteria that gives Trump enough momentum to mobilize the Marines on U.S. soil illegally. It's extra crazy because Kamala Harris had a better take on this than Bernard did. Am I still going back out today? Yes. Not exactly sure where to go today, but I'm working on it currently. I can't believe Mamala, my queen. Mamala, my queen. How many activists and leaders were murdered and lynched for this guy to spout some dumb shit like this? Yeah, I don't. If you're angry at the protest is not the conditions that produced the protest, you lost the plot. Bernice King, who is the daughter of MLK Jr., says, as my father said, but it is not enough for me to stand before you tonight and condemn riots. It would be morally irresponsible for me to do that without at the same time condemning the contingent, intolerable conditions that exist in our society. These conditions are the things that cause individuals to feel that they have no other alternative than to engage in violent rebellions to get attention. And I must say tonight that a riot is the language of the unheard. And what is it America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the black poor has worsened over the last 12 or 15 years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice and humanity. What's crazy is, like, as I said, Bernard Sanders himself participated in these, and he got arrested for his participation. And those protests were damn near identical to the ones that you see today, with one exception: the response and the agitative initiatives from the cops. The response is far more severe, and the agitation from the cops is far more severe as well. The violence that we have normalized that come from the cops and the escalation that happens every single time from the cops is either comparable or even worse. They're more militarized. I mean, back then they used to do the water cannons and police dogs and obviously a bunch of horrible things as well. But the reason why I'm pointing to this is because, again, freedom riders, sit-ins, May 1961, 2 years before Bernie even joined the protest and got arrested. Do you approve or disapprove of what the freedom riders are doing? 22% approve, 61% disapprove. Do you think sit-ins at lunch counters and freedom buses and other demonstrations by black people will hurt or help the black people's chances of being integrated in the South? 28% say help, 57% say hurt. Here is more information from the March on Washington. What are your feelings about this proposed mass civil rights rally? 60% have an unfavorable opinion, 23% have a favorable opinion. Whites on demonstrations by black people on October 1966. All in all, do you feel the demonstrations by black people on civil rights have helped or hurt more in the advancement of black rights? 15% say helps, 85% say hurts. This is, of course, white respondents only. So the thing to consider here is that if you are trying to win over as many people as possible, like all these people, they say optics this, optics that. They don't understand that throughout history, optics have never mattered. Okay? Optics do not matter to many people because power never concedes without response. Power never concedes without retaliation. It doesn't work that way. It is the very fact that people are on the fucking streets doing shit like this from time to time, when the overwhelming majority of the protests are peaceful and the actual reason for the protests themselves are perfectly valid and moral. Okay, stopping ICE detentions in a sanctuary state, in a sanctuary city. The reason that these protests, this mass civil unrest is taking place is an indication that we do not have an adequate pressure valve. We do not have an adequate democratic pressure valve here because our leadership is not fighting for us. Our leadership has not been able to successfully abide by the previous promises that they had met to protect our own fucking communities. In a place like California, in a place like Los Angeles, of course this kind of unrest is going to take place. This is the point I was making to Mason as well. This kind of collapse takes place when institutions fail to even create the notion of a social contract, when that is ripped apart unjustifiably, when people recognize it, when people understand that there is no semblance of justice here and only injustice, and that is becoming the norm, they get angry and they protest. And in the process of this protest, the most violent entity is always the police. The escalating factor is always the police. And the double standard here is so glaringly obvious. People stood on the 101 freeway. Okay? They chained, they created a human chain and stopped traffic on the 101 freeway for an extended period of time. We saw it happen. I was there. I'm on the freeway, literally in this video. Okay? Everyone gets mad at that. They go, how dare these people actually fucking stop the freeway? This is fucking unacceptable, right? Meanwhile, the freeway was stopped completely by not just the human chain protesters, but by cops, because cops use that fucking freeway as a staging ground. No one cares when cops stop the fucking freeway so that they can bring more of their dipshit friends to go upstairs, to go up the fucking ramp and tear gas citizens, tear gas civilians who are unarmed, peacefully protesting, mind you. But everybody loses their mind when those same civilians actually disrupt traffic. Do you understand how stupid this is? Then it seems like you don't care about the disruption of traffic. You simply care about these protesters that are making you aware of the injustice that is taking place by disrupting traffic. You can hyper-focus on peaceful brick throwing all day, every day. Oh, yes, the burning cars really makes me want to help. Dog, we know you don't want to help. You're on Twitch. You're sitting in the chat of someone, and your only purpose here is to just basically be like, oh, I was going to go out and protest, but I saw a fucking car burning, and I decided, fuck this, you know? Exactly. At least you admit it. It's always motherfuckers like this who don't give a shit, who actually most likely like what is happening with ICE and the mass deportations, that turn around and go, oh, man, I was just about to go outside, but then I saw a fucking Waymo burning, and I decided, oh, fuck these guys, you know? Actually, I should actually crack heads harder. Cops should crack heads harder. You say peaceful brick throwing, okay? But you fail to consider that the cops not only are wearing riot gear, but the cops are also wearing the riot gear that we paid for and using tear gas chemical weapons that we paid for on us, the civilians, the citizens. You're not a fucking cop in that situation. Who do you think you're closer to? Politicians who demand that ICE agents go and fucking kidnap people, or your neighbors that are getting kidnapped? Who do you think you are closer to in society? Are you a cop, or are you the civilian that's protesting? Maybe you don't actually see yourself in the shoes of someone who would go out there and actually protest against this kind of thing. But make no mistake, there will come a day when there is something you feel worthy of protest. And then you'll understand. When they gas you, when they use explosive ordinances around you, when they beat the shit out of you, only then will you understand. You can't arm the police like dog-faced Marines about to retake Fallujah and then not expect this to happen. Whose bright idea was it anyway to militarize America's police? I mean, yeah, it's true. Like, what do you think is more dangerous? Tear gas and explosive ordinances, or fucking water bottles that they're tossing in the direction of cops that have riot gear on? I'll tell you what's more dangerous. It's the fucking explosives, okay? Here, look at this.
I think they're going to push in from this side of the road.
So I'm over here trying to explain the cops that moved into the other side of the freeway, and they're going to move in a single file line to kettle and corral all the fucking protesters that are on the street, right? But in the process, of course, they're like deploying fucking explosives. Here, look.
Oh, fuck my hair up. Anyway, I think they're going to push in from this side of the road.
You got no excuses. You belong to a society that has a vision of rule of law. Your law enforcement represents it, and if you don't believe in it, you're in the wrong place. Brother, the reason why this is happening is because the rule of law is collapsing. Do you not understand that? Like, do you think people just did this because they're fucking bored? Do you think people did this because they're like, oh man, I'm so bored, I can't wait to fucking, like, I can't wait to instead of, on this beautiful Sunday, instead of going out and getting ice cream and, like, I don't know, buying a fucking blind box of Labubus or whatever the fuck people do, they were like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to protest. The reason why they're doing that is because the rule of law is collapsing. And these are people who are aware enough to recognize it. You, on the other hand, are not aware. When people who are tasked with protecting us and serving us, okay? Because I understand that in theory, that's what law enforcement is supposed to do. When people who are tasked with protecting us and serving us are no longer serving us or protecting us, what are people supposed to do? This argument, by the way, is the exact same argument that the white moderate placed during every tumultuous period, every instance of struggle, including the civil rights struggle. That's why I was just talking about MLK. But the thing is, they have federal law backing them up. Even if you got to the point, there's no way the protesters will go against the LAPD. Segregation was also a legal process. Slavery was also a legal process. Mass kidnappings of random people that are cooperating with the immigration authorities simply because the most racist people in America feel better about their position in society is also a legal process, just like those other legal processes. And thank God people fucking fought back against those otherwise legal processes. The state always has the ultimate power of conducting violent affairs. The state has a monopoly on violence. They can do whatever they want. Okay? It's the law. They are the law. The state makes the fucking law. And even if the state itself sometimes actually moves outside of the confines of pre-existing law, as they are doing right now with their dragnet campaigns and with their elimination of due process, tomorrow they can make that a legal part of the law. At which point you have to ask yourself, is this justifiable? Many people, myself included, understandably do not consider it justifiable, do not consider it moral. We consider it immoral. But you do realize that the way these protests are going will just result in the assault against federal officers instead of making a strong point. Yes, you're doing the thing. You're doing the same fucking thing. Okay? My job here is to get you and anyone else that goes, ugh, I don't like the optics of what people are doing. Why don't they just say no? Like, what are people supposed to do? The reason why people are pushed to this point is because the previous instances did not work. Okay? You're doing the same exact thing that people did to MLK. I don't understand. Why won't people sit at home and go, this is really messed up. I don't like it. You know? Why don't they just say that? Imagine how much more support they would get if they waved American flags. Can somebody tell them? This is basic politics 101. You're an Australian in Australia with 2 foreign flags in your name. Shut the fuck up. Our brave and strong resistance leader is taking questions. I don't want to see this. This is gonna destroy. This is gonna fry my brain.
To healthcare, American history, Republicans are targeting the
Bearing a
healthcare
tree
of the
in
American
Virginia.
people. More than 15 million Americans will lose their health care.
No, I can't listen to him right now. I'm sorry. There are many different pressure valves. Okay? There are many different pressure valves in society. Okay? There are many different pressure valves in society. Elections are one of them. Okay? The courts is another one. The social contract that dictates that you are supposed to protect and serve the citizens if you are a member of law enforcement, both at the federal level or at the local level or at the state level. When all of those systems collapse, or rather are used against the citizenry, of course people are going to get fucking mad. They will call you violent. If your tactics disrupt the order of things under capitalism, you may well be accused of violence, because violence is an elastic term of that often deployed to vilify people who threaten the status quo. Conditions that the state characterizes as peaceful are, in reality, quite violent. Even as people experience the violence of poverty, the torture of imprisonment, the brutality of policing, the denial of healthcare, and many other violent functions of this system, we are told we are experiencing peace, so long as everyone is cooperating. When state actors refer to peace, they are really talking about order. When they refer to peaceful protest, they are talking about cooperative protest that obediently stays within the lines drawn by the state. The more uncooperative you are, the more you will be accused of aggression and violence. It is therefore imperative that the state not be the arbiter of what violence means amongst the people seeking justice. There has never been an instance where there has been effective struggle, civil rights struggle, where people are demanding that the systems change, or people are tired of the lawfare that they experience and the harm that the state causes, that people have looked at in real time and said, well, this kind of action actually is quite peaceful, and I like it. No, every single person that is an onlooker from afar, that is not actually invested in change, or rather from their privileged position actually likes the existing order, the existing hierarchy, will turn around and say, these guys are violent. I can't see myself being on board with this. What is this, Hassan? You miss one crucial framework. What is this? What are you saying? What is it? What are you going to say? You going to make a joke? Abundance lol. Oh my God. Shut the fuck up. This is so fucking weird. A whole ass deja vu. We can put your BLM coverage years ago and today's. It's the exact same. Even gray names nowadays understand what BLM truly is for. They just really want to derail you just for the sake of lulz. Shaking my head. I know. It's really interesting because, you know, this didn't happen overnight. Like I've been with this shit for a minute now. And this is precisely what people were saying during the fucking Black Lives Matter protests as well. The only difference, I guess, is that Trump is now, one, deployed the Marines, and two, the struggle started way earlier, not at the end of Donald Trump's 4 years, but instead, basically in the first 6 months. 90% or 99% of protesters are peaceful, okay? As opposed to the 1% that, like, fuck shit up in the process of anger and resentment in this chaotic situation, right? Whereas 100% of the cops are unconditionally not peaceful. There is no peaceful cop in this situation. They all have guns. They all have less lethal weapons. They train those less lethal weapons on the citizens. They fucking gas the citizens. You can't, it doesn't have to be a situation where like the people are armed for you to understand that the asymmetry is baked within the system. Okay? It's so stupid. I was trying to take a piss yesterday, and getting information out of cops during that process is like impossible. You saw it. I was like, how do we leave this area? Like, that's your job, right? Your job is crowd dispersal, and they wouldn't let me leave the fucking area. Isn't that weird? Why would they not leave? Why would they not let you leave the area? Perhaps the reason why they don't want you to leave the area is so that they can fucking pummel your skull in. And now they have officially mobilized the Marines. But going back to what we were talking about, okay? Going back to what we were fucking talking about. Yeah, what is this?
Yeah.
Today, Asmongold expresses his support for police officers trampling a subdued protester with their horses. He also said he has no issue with people running over protesters and killing them.
Must have been the wind, yep. And then the guy got arrested. And he wasn't going to do anything. Yeah, fire mage pussy. Well, I guess he was out of mana. And yeah, so the media dies. Yeah, it's just misunderstood. Yeah, I mean, people like this. Like, I think that the big issue of like, of this and what the big problem is that people light stuff on fire. They destroy property. They basically just go ape shit.
Did that guy do any of those things? You're watching the cops behave infinitely more violent towards another human being in broad daylight. And you're trying to justify that by saying, well, you know, other people in a different part of town, by the way. I believe this is a different part of town. This is not even like the protest we were at. By the way, to understand how far right we have gotten, for the record, back in the day when Sex Pestany said, I don't care, you know, white supremacists need to fucking mow down these like stupid Black Lives Matter protesters, he got fucking banned. He got de-verified. Asmongold can now be the largest content creator on the fucking platform and be like, yeah, they deserve it. To be fair, he's talking about the cops in this circumstance. We understand them as white supremacist force, but, you know, and not like the non-state actors taking matters in their own hands. But even then, the results are the same. He will get no punishments for this. As a matter of fact, I'll probably get fucking banned before he does.
And nobody has anything happen. Like, there's never any consequences for these people. And so I'm really glad to see this happen. This guy trying to run away. Again, literally zero sympathy for these kinds of people. He's trying to run away from the police, etc. I don't give a shit. They're psychopaths. Well, there are people. The reason why these people are doing it, I'm off. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, no, you're right. The psychopath is certainly the people that are protesting ICE kidnapping other people, okay? Kidnapping their neighbors, kidnapping their community members, and not the fucking rat king who is covered in his own fucking filth and rot, sitting in the comfort of his fucking home, going, yeah, it's perfectly fine to trample over a taxpayer with horses. Yeah, it's based. Yeah. I'm really glad. Disgusting. Of course, you can get away with saying this kind of thing if you have no fucking real moral compass and you have nothing that you would actually fight for, and you are an immensely privileged person, an unimaginably wealthy person, an immensely privileged person who doesn't give a fuck about anybody else. Okay? You can even you can even get a bunch of other nihilistic edgelords who also don't give a fuck about this or like the fact that ICE is kidnapping people and sending them the fucking CCOT to cheer this on.
And again, they should immediately arrest this guy. And the mayor said it was Trump's fault. Yeah, watching him bonk the dude with a horseback. Yeah, huge W. I mean, again, it's just
W.
arson, and somebody like this should spend a lot of time in jail. That's what I think.
Yeah. After Asmongold said he has no issue with people running over and killing protesters, he confessed that he constantly fantasizes about killing random people and must restrain himself.
You think about killing random people? Yeah, all the time. Oh, constantly. All the time. Yeah, if somebody makes me mad or something like that, yeah, of course. Absolutely. Sure. I just don't do it. I remember, dude, the 3 months that I played Call of Duty, I could not drive down the road without thinking about every pedestrian and if I could run them over or not. For like 3 months.
Oh, fuck? Yeah, I'm the fucking psychopath. Or the people that are out there in the fucking streets. Those are the psychopaths, you know, not Hasmongold. Well, I guess he's openly admitting he has more restraint than the fucking cops that he was cheering on a second ago. He has literally said in the past that he does not experience empathy towards other human beings and doesn't care about other people, just a misanthrope through and through. Yeah, the problem is, on the internet, a lot of people have bricked their brains into thinking that this is a demonstration, this kind of like sociopathic, antisocial personality disordered behavior is actually cool. Like, you're so edgy, you're so sick, you want to fucking kill people? Oh, man. It's like, don't worry, guys. He's not killing anybody because he's not leaving his fucking rotted ass house. Okay? Like, how the fuck do we go from looking at these nerdy ass fucking school shooters to having entire communities that are designed around people who look like these goddamn school shooters and behave like these goddamn school shooters and have the same exact perspective of these goddamn fucking school shooters? How did this happen? It's crazy. Yeah, he won't even fucking kill the roaches in his home, chat. Yeah, don't worry.
I was going in on this because I spend so much time around people over on Call of Duty. That's normal. Everybody does. Yes. It's just intrusive thoughts. I'm just open about it.
Everybody
you
feels
asked me
this
the
way.
honest opinion. That's my honest opinion. Yeah. It's called invasive thoughts and everybody has them. Yes. You make that decision every time you drive, actually. No need to get guns. Absolutely. And so, yeah. It's the call of the void. You're describing psychopathy. Well, either way, I don't let things like this affect me at all or bother me.
He's so cool. He's so level-headed. He's like, I got the thrill in me, dude. I got this violent need to do violence. I'm a bad bitch. I'm a badass. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense why he would also say this. This makes perfect sense. Okay? A guy who's like, yeah, every time I drive, I want to fucking kill pedestrians. Aren't I a bad bitch? Well, then, of course, turn around and be like, I love when the state is doing violence to other people. Okay? It's like he can't do it himself, so he likes it when the state is doing it. And there are no repercussions for him defending the state doing this sort of thing because of the way we interpret state violence. We interpret state violence as a perfectly normal situation. And the video that he's, by the way, the video that he's like defending here and saying, yeah, based over is this one. It's utterly psychotic. They apprehend him. Okay. I think he has a camera. Did they kick his fucking camera off? Like, what is that? That looks like a camera.
To protect lives, safeguard constitutional rights, and serve every.
They surround him.
With integrity. Let me open it up now for any
oh, it was a mask. It was a respirator. They jump over him. They step on him. It was a gas mask. He's trying to get up. His hands are in the air. He's like, let me go, let me go. And the fucking cops, first they, before they even slam him to the ground, the horses fucking stomp on him. Then they hit him in the head with a baton. Yeah. Of course, they're doing this because they don't think that they're being watched. I guess they don't give a shit. And why should they? Why should they give a shit? They have no accountability. It's built into the goddamn law, dude. They showed this live on the second news on the second screen while the LAPD chief was talking about how nonviolent the police were being. Yeah, I know. I remember. I watched it live in real time. Like, the thing that's really fucked up about this is I don't know what this dude did. right? I don't know what this dude did, but nothing he did justifies this use of force. He is clearly done. It's over. Just fucking handcuff him and move on. Okay? Like, he is unarmed. He is surrounded, and you're stomping on him with a fucking horse and hitting him in the head with a goddamn baton. Like, there's no... All you're doing in that situation is basically fucking getting a couple licks in because you can get away with it, and because you're a fucking violent sadist. That's it. That's it. That's all this is. Because I don't know what he did. Okay? I do not know what he did. But it doesn't fucking matter what he did because it's over. It's done. It's super done at this point. It's done at this point. He's on the ground. This aged well. There's always a tweet. Yeah, we already watched the, like, regardless of his actions. Do you understand what I'm saying? He could be the most violent motherfucker that's out there. Okay? The most violent motherfucker that's out there. At this point, he's done. Jumping over him and hitting him in the fucking, what do you call it? Hitting him in the fucking head with a baton or whatever the fuck is completely unacceptable. Arrest him. Take him out of there and move on, okay? That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be the more violent party in this situation. Must be nice for cops to be out and not have to worry about being shot. Perks of a blue state. Yeah, that too. You try to put the horses on fire? Okay, great. There you go. Okay. My point proven. Also, how the fuck did he try to light the horses on fire? I see this. It says, a man in LA attempted to block the mountain police by lighting a fire across their projected path. Then to a horses, freaked out the horses. How did this happen? Like, what did he use? What incendiary device did he have? Do you know if that's the actual guy? It seems like it was a tear gas canister that was caught on fire that he kicked. Once again, going back to the beginning point of the story, if it's a tear gas canister that's caught on fire, yeah, guess what? These are fucking incendiary devices that are being deployed in the middle of a goddamn crowded city. Wait. Yeah. All of the grenades that they use, by the way, every single grenade that they use, yeah, every single fucking grenade that they use is an incendiary explosive device that has the capacity to do that, okay? To catch on fucking fire. Look. Wait, hold on. I think you see the spark. Like, y'all are saying, like, y'all are acting like he had a fucking flamethrower and he caused this. Which, by the way, ironically enough, even if he did, from this point onward, it's over. Just arrest him and move on. Okay? He cast a fireball spell. What is this? Here's a breakdown.
Here, right? Now, you can't really see it right now, but it is over here. Then it catches fire on the standing flame. And once people see that there's a tear gas canister, they kick it back over to the cops, which is where this happens. You can see it happening right here.
Yeah, they're literally kicking a fucking tear gas canister that is on fire out of the direction of dry vegetation and fucking apartments.
That's the person who kicks it, goes all the way back to the cops. There's a tear gas canister that was caught on fire. You can even see that the original source of the flame is not next to the Molotov, or not next to the Molotov, to the fucking tear gas canister that got kicked. It's still there. And then this person's pants get caught on fire because they kicked the canister, not a Molotov.
Anyway, go to 72150 where the cops literally shoot at press and started a fire on the 7th. 72150. This is the same exact dynamic that exists with, like, cops using tear gas and then arresting people for using leaf blowers, okay? Cops will use tear gas on protesters, and then when they get hit with the fucking tear gas, they lose their goddamn minds. It's like, bro, you're the one deploying the fucking tear gas. It's like, how dare they try to kill our beautiful cops with this chemical, with the deployment of chemical weapons on us. It's like, bro, you deployed the chemical weapon. I didn't bring the tear gas. I don't have a grenade launcher. You do. You brought it. Yeah, see, that's what happens to fucking tear gas that doesn't deploy properly. Like, it is still ultimately an incendiary device. Flashbang grenades as well. PD behaving incredibly Israel-like, shot a protester in the head with a rubber bullet, then blamed her for getting shot in the head and then not calling an ambulance for her. CS gas is also a flammable gas law. They really surprised they're shooting a flammable compressed gas? Yeah. Yeah, so here, this is where the fucking canister that didn't deploy correctly, okay? Let's see what happens. Yep, see? Oh, there it is. Yeah, they threw a second one. They threw a second one. This is what happens. Here, look. That is, I don't even think that's tear gas. I think that's a flashbang. Or no, it might be, yeah, it is tear gas.
What do we do?
Yeah, and then it catches on fire. Did you hear about the tear gas, that canister that made it into a car with a woman and child? Yes, I did. Also, tear gas is, again, an incendiary device, or not tear gas, sorry. Fucking flashbang grenades are also incendiary devices. Oftentimes in like SWAT raids and police raids, when they deploy, there are stories of them throwing a fucking flashbang grenade in a baby's crib and then lighting the baby on fire. Okay? Obviously, the most famous example of like use of extraordinary force that killed a shit ton of people, including children, is Waco. The deployment of tear gas in that caused the fire inside of the house that killed all of the fucking all of the children in the house in Waco. And once again, something to remember is the usage of chemical weapons such as tear gas is illegal in war.
You can't give that. You can't call an ambulance.
There's no ambulance to be had.
Right there.
Chaos you guys created.
Right there.
What happened?
There's an ambulance.
Emergency response.
You shot her in the head. You can't. And they want to leave her.
She could have lost her eyesight, by the way. She probably is like deeply fucking concussed in that moment. Yeah, here, law article. Final settlement reached in baby boo-boo flashbang case for $3.6 million. Almost 2 years after being injured in a botched drug raid in Habersham County, Georgia. Baby boo-boo Bunkum, Phone Savant's case against the officers involved has been settled for a total sum of $3.6 million. They fucking deployed a goddamn flashbang grenade in a baby's crib and permanently scarred the baby. Here's another story. Ohio police used flashbangs during raid of home while a toddler on a ventilator inside. While there was a toddler on a ventilator inside, body camera footage shows. Incredible stuff. But again, that kind of violence is done by the state, so it's legal. It's cool. It's perfectly permissible. Even if you kick the fucking tear gas canister in the direction back at cops, then you're the violent one. Then you're the violent party. You must be stopped.
The longer you stay here, the longer it's going to take for ambulance to get here.
No, that's such a lie. Get a damn ambulance here. You shot her in the head with a rubber bullet.
Back off.
No, we're trying to get you to just make a fucking phone call.
Yeah, they're using so many. Border Patrol just requested large quantity of additional non-lethals to respond to the LA protest, law enforcement source tells me. They've used so much in the last couple of days that they are running out. These Aussie reporters must be stopped. LA cop drafted the IDF after shooting journalist. Rubber bullets and non-lethal ammo caused 200 ocular traumas on protesters and 200 other permanently blind protesters in Chile in 2019 used industrial eye protection. Yeah. They did this in Portland too. Yeah, once again, cops don't fucking help you in these situations. You help you, okay? Other protesters help you. The field medics that are on there, that are on the side of the protesters, are the only fucking help that you can get in situations like this. Also, from More Perfect US, David Huerta, the president of California's biggest union, SEIU California, has been charged with conspiracy to impede an officer for monitoring an ICE raid. That's a felony charge that carries a maximum sentence of 6 years in federal prison. I don't think these guys understand what they're doing. Or maybe they do, and they want to show down. I think maybe they want the smoke. Perhaps they want this back and forth, and they think they can fight their way out of it. The government, I mean. The government thinks they can suppress our liberties and behave in this incredibly unlawful manner with the hopes that dummies, like the ones that watch like fucking Asmongold or XQC or whatever, or, you know, YouTube slop tubers and dummies that only watch like mainstream media and go, oh man, these protests, like, I get what they're saying, but it's like really fucked up. Those guys will not realize what's going on. They hope that there will be a lot of moderates or enough moderates to stand in opposition to the valid disturbances caused by people resisting against this kind of fascist administration's authoritarian actions, tyrannical actions. Chicago Teachers Union says locking up labor leaders for defending workers' rights, civil rights, and immigrant rights is a sign of growing authoritarianism. Resist and fight back. Federal agents were executing a lawful judicial warrant at an LA worksite this morning when David Huerta deliberately obstructed their access by blocking their vehicle. He was arrested for interfering with federal officers and will face arraignment in federal court on Monday. Let me be clear. I don't care who you are. If you impede federal agents, you will be arrested and prosecuted. No one has the right to assault, obstruct, or interfere with federal authorities carrying out their duties. We're moving very quickly into phase 2 of this, by the way. 148 people arrested in ICE protests
Our street
yesterday.
cleaners responded to acts of vandalism and cleaned the streets. Today, our graffiti teams are out offering courtesy abatement to anyone impacted by protest vandalism. If you were impacted by protest vandalism, you can call 311. Our graffiti units are out abating graffiti as we speak. San Francisco Public Works is a 24/7 operation. We'll be on the streets, keeping the streets as clean.
This is San Francisco. All right. Asked about Trump's deployment of 2,000 National Guard, Los Angeles, Biden's former Pentagon spokesperson, now CNN analyst, opens. It is a legal use of the United States military. The president does have the authorization to do that. No, the fuck he does not.
President Donald Trump has ordered the deployment of some 2,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles. Is this an appropriate use of the United States military?
Oh, the National Guards. Yeah, technically, the National Guard, maybe.
Well, thanks, Wolf, for having me on. I mean, it is a legal use of...
Why are there no such protests for Palestinians or activists arrested for speaking out for Palestinians? What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, there are. What is this? What are you, a fucking federal agent? Like, at a time when people are showing solidarity, you're like, oh, well, why don't they do this with the Palestinians? Okay, good take, man.
The United States military.
Yeah. I don't know if you were there, but they're literally black bagging people who are actually fucking protesting protesting against their institutions that they're a part of and their culpability with Israel's genocide.
The president does have the authorization to do that. The difference here is how he's doing it is completely unprecedented.
Oh, okay. He's just unprecedented. He banned me from the space and deleted my reply. Excuse me, in the community have become too fascistic for my liking. I guess having genocide-loving losers like Destiny Asman as your moral compass turns you into a fascist little bitch as well. Fuck XCC. Bro saw burning cars and got mad I wasn't celebrating. Nah, we see kidnapped families and remember your role in it. Holy fuck, this has 33,000 likes. When I liked it, it had like fucking 800. God damn. Another mostly peaceful protest brought to you by Gavin Newsom. Deport. Like, this image is fucking dope, man. I'm sorry. It's the coolest goddamn image. It's just not like I don't know why these guys keep constantly fucking looking at stuff like this and going, oh, this is really fucked up. And then the thing that they point to is the sickest image of all time.
I'm fake, nigga. I know you do, dog. I'll spit on your plate. I'll put my dick on your plate, nigga. Fuck your family. Fuck your kids, nigga. That's how it is. I can't sleep comfortably because of you.
He be fucking getting a whole fucking plate. He be fucking expecting us to give us a whole fucking shit. That nigga right there.
Do you go to Kava?
Yeah, you do, nigga. Stop playing. Yeah, you do. Nigga, act like I don't know your fucking face. Stop fucking playing. Fucking talking about, can I get a fucking discount? Can I get a fucking this? Can I get a fucking that? That nigga right there. Point that shit at him right there. Point that shit at there right there.
He doesn't look like he go to Kava, though.
Yeah, nah.
He ain't going to that Kava.
What's your favorite thing to order at Kava?
Everything.
You go to Kava, nigga.
Can Latino people say the N-word? Bro, I am not having that conversation right now, okay? I am not having that conversation at this moment, okay? It is much like police are going to be violent no matter what. It is an unstoppable force, okay? Demanding that Latinos don't say the N-word is just, especially me as a white guy, you know. Don't ask me. There's nothing I can do about this situation, okay? My thoughts on the matter are utterly irrelevant. Because while I don't think so, while I consider that to be bad and wrong, it's not, you know, you got to fight your battles, okay? You got to pick and choose your battles sometimes. And like I said, unstoppable force. It's, you feel me? Anyway, let's look at the media coverage on this stuff. We got some more things to cover. Oh, I forgot to mention this yesterday, but this was also funny.
In every protest we see kind of a spectrum of individuals from nonviolent all the way to violent and those opportunists, right? So they will use all those other individuals as shields, as human shields to kind of throw Molotov cocktails or rocks or whatever and instigate. They may not even be from the community. Often they're not. And they don't have a vested interest. Sometimes
this is totally made up, by the way. This is like are there agent provocateurs at these protests? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. They're feds. Like oftentimes there are federal agents. Okay. But there's also a shit ton of people who are insanely angry. Okay. The idea that these guys are like outside of the community, they're Hamas, they're Iranian funded agents that are using the protesters as human shields is crazy. Okay.
Shields to kind of throw Molotov cocktails or rocks or whatever and instigate. They may not even be from the community. Often they're not. And they don't have a vested interest. Sometimes they don't even care about the cause. What we saw a little bit earlier, if you had seen some of the other footage, where there are individuals out there with Palestine flags saying free Palestine. So they're clearly not out there in regards to the immigration crackdown that you're seeing. They're opportunists.
Yeah, dude. No Latino would ever care about Palestine, bro. Obviously, famously, you know? Yeah, this was so funny. Hispanic American Studies, Inshallah Vato. The Iranian military pose, make Mexico great again. Inshallah Vato, it's cope. And I think a lot of people who also are on board will also sometimes engage in that cope in an effort to fall into a perfect victimhood narrative. Okay. What is this? Fox News alert. Looks like a band is performing to a crowd in the street. We see crowds building in Atlanta. You can see megaphones and signs.
Alert now. We are going to show you two live shots of these planned protests. One screen left, Los Angeles, 11:30 in the morning there. That is now underway. Looks like a band performing to a crowd in the streets there. All of this as we see crowds building in Atlanta, 2:30 local time there. You can see megaphones and signs up as we are early in the afternoon, as we saw what happened in Los Angeles, where the anti-ICE rioters set fire to driverless cars, looting stores, attacking federal agents, as well as LAPD. President Trump weighing in just a short time ago when asked if he think Gavin Newsom, in the wake of all this, should be arrested based on what's happened.
Los Pipos, thank you for the 10 gifted.
He said that he believes it would be a great thing. Gavin Newsom has fired back at that.
All right, they're going, I think PSL and everyone else is going back to the LA City Hall right now. It seems like protests are starting to ramp up. We will not put up with ICE. Thousands are en route to City Hall, LA City Hall, to say ICE out of LA, National Guard go away. They haven't gotten the new notes. It's actually now the Marines. I don't know how. I don't know how to rhyme with Marines, but Marine Corps no more, maybe something like that. This pic goes hard. Forgot to post this. Remains of one of the Waymos. Hate that. Hate seeing a dead Waymo like that. Are you going to go to the protest again today? Yes, I will. Marines have little peens. Shit is escalating at an alarming rate. It is official. I'm declaring it. It is now. Laura Loomer was right. This is the summer of jihad. Okay, it's heating up. Protests are heating up all around the country as ICE is escalating its conduct in many different states all around the nation. It seems as though this is turning up to be yet another heated summer, a summer of jihad summer. I'm sorry, White Boy Summer is canceled, and I don't know. It's just looking kind of crazy. Looking kind of crazy out here.
Everywhere. Now, there's one other thing I must mention, which is almost like a sidebar thing, but we're seeing a lot of Palestinian flags and people with kafirs. Now, you may wonder why that is significant here, and I'll tell you why. Donald Trump and the governor, Gavin Newsom. There is a huge feud between those two men. It's been going on for months. But Donald Trump particularly has taken issue with the protests that we saw last year across the United States on those college campuses, one of which was UCLA. He talked about them being anti-Semitic. He talked about how these universities were out of control. And even just last week, he threatened to withhold a huge amount of federal funding from the state of California. Now, bear in mind that Donald Trump has invoked the National Guard. The National Guard are here, not at the request of the governor, at the request of the president, and the governor is furious about this. He says that, and this is Donald Trump, that Los Angeles has fallen into complete lawlessness. What Gavin Newsom, the governor, is trying to do is try to keep the calm, but he doesn't want to give any more metaphorical ammunition to the White House or the administration for authorities to move in on these protesters. The fact that we are seeing these Palestinian flags, these pro-Palestine protests, you might see this play into the narrative from the administration over the coming hours, the coming days. Blood.
Classic. I mean, they were right. That is precisely what they're using. Ne yaptın lan? İyi misin? Bir şey oldu mu? Ha, peki, tamam. All right. Now that you saw my side of the story, as someone who was there, as someone who's planning on going there again today, by the way, let's take a look at how the media is covering these events. Okay, let me close some of these tabs.
Over federal immigration raids are expected to take place in Los Angeles today.
Chaos in downtown Los Angeles yesterday evening, both in the streets and on the freeways. KTLA 5's Aaron Myers joining us live from downtown with the latest. Aaron, good morning.
I gotta pee.
Good morning to you both. Things are somewhat quiet right now, even though we did hear protesters were here into the early morning hours. That being said, while we were driving through downtown, we didn't see protesters, but we have seen a lot of law enforcement. You can see here behind me, deputies who appear to be with the Orange County Sheriff's Department are here at Temple and Alameda. They have the area blocked off. This is not far from the Metropolitan Detention Center, which is just down the street, and that's where we saw National Guard members early yesterday morning. Now, later in the morning, protesters arrived and things escalated throughout the day. Protesters were seen throughout the majority of downtown yesterday. This as President Trump ordered the deployment of 2,000 National Guard members, though both Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom objected, with the governor saying the presence of the Guard was inflaming tensions. President Trump, though, had this to say about his decision.
We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen. If we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
By mid-afternoon, the LAPD said the city was on tactical alert as the crowd grew unruly. Police were seen patrolling the area in riot gear and on horseback, others pushing crowds back. Demonstrators throwing concrete, rock bottles, even Molotov cocktails and more at law enforcement. Police did respond with tear gas, rubber bullets, and flashbangs to help disperse the escalating crowds. Later in the afternoon, Sky 5 was overhead as protesters made their way onto the 101 freeway, blocking both the southbound and northbound lanes. And in the evening, the freeway was closed for a second time as CHP officers came under assault as people threw rocks, scooters, fireworks, and other objects from a bridge. Several Waymo vehicles were set on fire along with dumpsters on the streets of downtown. We are hearing several businesses were looted as well. LAPD Chief Jim McDonald said that the LAPD was overwhelmed and that the protest included regular agitators who show up to cause trouble. Last night, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department sent deputies to support the LAPD and CHP, and around 9 p.m. an unlawful assembly was declared for the entire downtown area. Now back here live once again right now, we have not seen protesters here, at least in this part of downtown. We also know Governor Newsom has asked President Trump to remove the National Guard, formally asked him to do so. As for arrests and injuries, we do know several people were arrested. We are working on getting exact numbers on that. And once again, we are hearing there will be more activity here in downtown today. A rally is scheduled for noon at Grand Park. Reporting live here in downtown, I'm Aaron Myers. I'll send it back to you both in the studio.
We're going to begin, though, with that escalating tension in Los Angeles after protesters against federal immigration raids clashed with law enforcement over the weekend, setting vehicles on fire. California National Guard troops were moved in at the order of President Trump. This is the first time since 1965. that a president has ordered troops in over the objections of the governor. He did it on his own authority. California Governor Newsom condemned the action as inflammatory, called on the administration to rescind it, said they were manufacturing a crisis.
And our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, is standing by with the latest on the administration's response to the protests. But first, our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is on the scene in L.A. And Matt, you and your team, you were with the protesters all day yesterday. Good morning.
Yeah. We saw so much of that unfold, Michael, and this is what the civic area in downtown Los Angeles looks like. These are the skeletons of Waymo self-driving electric.
This guy literally is the guy I was talking about, the sexy hair guy, their war correspondent, who literally had to fish out like a piece of concrete from a bunch of fucking exploded ordnance to be like, see, the cops are under great distress. See, he was not with the protesters. He was with the fucking cops. And that's important. How was he there right now? Would I be allowed to be there right now at that time? Fuck no. I'd be getting my ass beat if I was late night with March, with the credentials. There is no shot that they would let any other journalist be there. The reason why they let him be there is because he does this kind of coverage.
Vehicles, you can see there's a series of about 5 of them here just beyond. That's what the rest of this downtown area in LA looks like. A maze of police checkpoints. Just over my right shoulder, that's the 101 freeway. It was blocked on both sides by hundreds of protesters. And those clashes just ending a short time ago, early this morning.
Overnight chaos erupting in the streets of Los Angeles as protesters and police clashed. Tensions escalating Sunday as thousands of protesters took to the streets in response to President Donald Trump's extraordinary deployment of the California National Guard. Governor Gavin Newsom saying it was assistance he didn't ask for.
We are here to support local law enforcement, the sheriff's office, LAPD, but they didn't need that support. He made this up. This is a manufactured crisis.
Multiple vehicles set on fire, covered in graffiti condemning ICE. An electric scooter thrown from an overpass, damaging a highway patrol vehicle, which was then set on fire. Many hundreds descending on the 101 freeway, blocking traffic in both directions.
CHP, California Highway Patrol, deployed smoke. They're moving in, trying to push these protesters out. You can see some projectiles. Someone there.
The LAPD mobilizing resources and LA's mayor pleading for calm.
Our city does not need to be torn apart.
Earlier Sunday, demonstrators swarming LA's federal building, hundreds of LAPD officers responding. And in the ensuing clashes, the LAPD says multiple officers were injured when 2 people on motorcycles tried to crash through that police line. We were right there as it happened.
Just moments ago, there's some projectiles being thrown. Just moments ago, a motorcycle seemed to try to break through the police skirmish line. And now you can hear all those flashbangs going off. Police are trying to push those protesters back, firing those less than lethals at very close range. And you can see those projectiles being thrown over. Now that motorcyclist being hauled in here. Looks like he's being arrested.
Police deploying flashbangs, the streets littered with debris and broken glass. At this point, more than 25 demonstrators arrested after failing to disperse. The escalation began Friday when federal immigration authorities began a series of sweeps in greater Los Angeles, arresting more than 100 people. The demonstrations now entering day 4. Hundreds of National Guard troops were deployed on the streets of LA over the weekend. President Trump bypassing California's governor, ordering up to 2,000 guardsmen to deploy across Southern California. On Saturday in Paramount, just south of Los Angeles, thick black smoke filling the sky after cars were set on fire. The anger coming after reports of an immigration raid on the community, but Paramount Mayor Peggy Lemon saying there was not a raid. The agents were there staging. And in a rare scene Saturday afternoon, a Black Hawk helicopter landing in the parking lot of a Homeland Security office, agents unloading supplies for federal law enforcement. California Governor Gavin Newsom calling on the Trump administration to revoke the order to deploy the California National Guard, saying it only makes matters worse. A memo signed by all the Democratic governors says the activation of guardsmen in their own borders without consulting or working with the state's governor is ineffective and dangerous. But President Trump now saying even active duty Marines could be deployed as 500 remain on standby.
They are. They have been.
What I think it is, I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order.
So how rare is it for a president to bypass the governor and deploy National Guards in that governor's state? Well, it hasn't been invoked since 1965. That's over 60 years. And Newsom saying that he did speak to President Trump on Friday night. The president did not mention, according to Newsom, that he was going to deploy the California National Guard. And now Gavin Newsom calling President Trump a stone-cold liar and saying that this morning he's going to file a lawsuit against the Trump administration for acts that he called...
What's crazy is, like, do the Marines even have less lethals? Like, are they just gonna fucking open fire on crowds of Los Angelinos? Like, is that what's gonna happen? Like, they're just gonna fucking shoot people? They're gonna shoot LA protesters on sight as though they're fucking enemy combatants. The cops barely have fucking decent crowd control training.
Immoral and unconstitutional, George.
And Matt, and President Johnson in 1965, when he did that, was actually moving in National Guard troops to protect civil rights protesters.
No, they're going to deploy military police. They have riot equipment. I guess, like, given how militarized the American police already is, I don't know how much more militarized the Marine Corps would look like in comparison. You know what I mean?
The violent protests in Los Angeles overnight, with some demonstrators now setting fires and throwing things at police to protest a series of immigration raids by federal agents. Now, officers have arrested dozens of people on Saturday. President Trump ordered hundreds of National Guard troops to the city, even though the governor, that's Gavin Newsom, who normally controls the soldiers, did not want them there on the streets. Now, this is the first time a president has done this without a governor's approval since 1965. Jonathan Vigliotti is in L.A. Jonathan, good morning to you. It was a very tense weekend, very scary to watch. What's the latest today?
It was, and good morning to you, Gail. I just want to give you a second to absorb the scene because we are here in downtown Los Angeles. It is completely locked down. You easily have hundreds of police officers staged throughout the area. We're actually limited in what we can show you because of all the graffiti that's been scrolled on the buildings yesterday and today. We were here, thousands of protesters yesterday.
Wait, what? Why would that stop? What? Why would that stop you from showing things? Are you scared of showing the graffiti to the Good Morning America CBS morning audience? Like, what? Oh, because it says fuck. It says fuck eyes.
They've since been dispersed this morning. The focus today, though, for law enforcement, federal buildings, which has become the target for these protests after the National Guard was sent in yesterday.
Tensions remain high in Los Angeles after thousands took to the streets on Sunday to protest immigration sweeps happening throughout the region and the country. Downtown, protesters set vehicles on fire, threw rocks at squad cars, and blocked the busy 101 freeway.
We're here at what is the entrance to downtown LA, and you can see the destruction that's been caused here. You've got several vehicles that are on fire. We're told that these are Waymo cars. You have the National Guard here, LAPD. They put out tear gas, flashbangs that you hear right now to disperse the crowd. It has been working.
An act of violence, whether toward officers, demonstrators, or the public, will be met with swift and lawful action.
LA's police chief says dozens of arrests were made in the past 48 hours. LA Mayor Karen Bass.
I was hoping to prevent this situation from happening. It's the last thing our city needs.
The latest escalation point, President Trump's deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to LA against the wishes of city and state leaders, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, who accused the president of, quote, trying to manufacture a crisis to create chaos. Trump denied those claims.
There was a lot of violence there. There was a lot of violence, and it could have gotten much worse. And you have an incompetent governor. Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
In an interview on MSNBC, Newsom fired back.
And it's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not. And you're putting real people's lives at risk.
And it's worth repeating, this is the first time a president has sent in the National Guard over the objections of a governor since the civil rights era in the 1960s. Meanwhile, to the immigration raids, we are learning that they will be conducted on a daily basis here in Los Angeles for the next month, Nate.
Jonathan, thank you.
Los Angeles, City of Angels, now on fire. The scene of the first major reckoning of President Trump's second term. 3 days of protests as people march against the government's policies on immigration. increasingly violent scenes with both sides blaming the other. The White House accused protesters of using violent tactics. Critics said Trump's shocking deployment of the National Guard is simply because he wants to create chaos and division.
Y'all told us to come here for opportunity. We came, and then now it's like, oh, you have to leave. But when I was the working class, y'all loved me, right? But now that we're too many people, what's the issue?
With pockets of demonstrations flaring up over the weekend and incidents of clashes between protesters and police, Trump called in members of California's National Guard. But protesters believe their presence and use of tear gas and flashbang grenades is only inflaming a tense situation, with an Australian reporter struck by a rubber bullet while covering the demonstration. Protesters took over and stopped traffic on the 101 freeway, with some throwing objects at officers who had to take cover. With cars set alight later on, Trump and his supporters said this warranted his actions, with some claiming that because people were waving the Mexican flag, that Los Angeles was now, quote, occupied territory. Trump was asked about the weekend's protests on Sunday.
We're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, you know, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military.
It was on Friday that people began to protest after immigration raids in parts of LA, with people put in unmarked vehicles and then driven away in convoys, with military protection also on hand. Crowds began to form and some people tried to stop the vehicles. Protesters marched on a federal building in downtown LA where it was believed many of those detained were being held. ICE have said that their operations in LA this week resulted in the arrest of 118 so-called aliens. That's people who are not legal residents of the USA. For Trump and Republicans, this is what he won the election on, a hardline stance on immigration from the government. For the people of LA, they say this should be a sanctuary city where they are protected by the state of California.
I think that's honestly like what's heartbreaking the most, because they're making it seem like they're really bad people, like criminals, and when they're not, when they're just trying to work hard for their own families.
This is not helping the city. It's actually damaging its wages, because there's a lot of taxes that are paid by undocumented people.
Protesters began clashing with riot police outside the detention center, and this is when the first skirmishes began. With Trump then calling in the National Guard, come Sunday, the crowds outside were now larger, the line of troops and officers bigger too.
They have all the guns. We know they have all the guns. We gotta let people know that we have a right to speak up. We're supposedly in a democracy and have a voice, but we've got to heighten that voice.
The governor of California.
She's old, but I respect the fuck out of her, dude. Plenty of moments where I've shit on Maxine Waters, but bro, she's like 90 years old and she's still out there. You know what I mean? She was trying to go into a federal building and the cops were like, YouTube loosens rules for guiding moderation of videos.
And have a voice, but we've got to heighten that voice.
The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, called for protesters to remain peaceful, while Senator Adam Schiff said that any violence would only play directly into the hands of those who seek to antagonize and weaponize the situation for their own gain. Words also repeated by the mayor of LA.
But the most important thing right now is that our city be peaceful. And so protests and expressing your fears, your beliefs is appropriate to do, but it is just not appropriate for there to be violence. And I don't want people to fall into the chaos that I believe is being created by the administration completely unnecessarily.
While many Democrats criticize President Trump's...
It's so funny because when Karen Bass says that about the administration, they recognize it, but she is in command of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles Police Department. And the overwhelming majority of harm coming right now, at least up until this very moment, before the Marines get deployed, and they're en route right now, that's coming from the cops. Like, that's literally coming from the fucking cops. So if you can comprehend, like, the governor controls all of the law enforcement, okay? Even if it's not Karen Bass. LASD, let's say, is a unique entity, okay? Is a separate entity, fine. But the governor controls everything, including the CHP, California Highway Patrol, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And And these guys are like, if you can understand the National Guard coming in is going to cause chaos and a dangerous escalation of tension, then you should be able to understand that the LAPD deployment is causing a dangerous escalation of tension. Anyway, Representative Nanette Barragan, whose district includes Paramount, said her office was told no immigration raids ultimately happened Saturday. Although federal officials staged in preparation because of the protest, the operation did not move forward. There you go. So I guess there is a W in all of this after all. Universities across this country tolerate evangelical psychos screaming at students every day, year after year, but will call in riot police and beat and tear gas their own students participating in basic peaceful protests. 100% this. Roll out the red carpet for people creating a hostile environment for students, but pepper spray people holding a peaceful sit-in outdoors in a quad in 2011. And this was from the police who were told not to harm and arrest the protesters. Same shit, different day. For the chatters asking about the 501 protest, no kings, don't waste your time. Uncovering the truth behind the movement's origins, agenda, and role in maintaining the status quo. What is this? I mean, the hands-off protests and whatnot, like, they protests like that, mobilized by liberals, are often going to be attended by much larger numbers. I see no reason in refusing to attend a protest such as that one, because you're going to be surrounded by a lot of people who are pro-Palestinian, as opposed to the protest leadership that is not pro-Palestinian. It doesn't fucking matter. This is yet another instance of showcasing the discontent that you feel with this government. It's not a bad thing.
Decision to deploy the National Guard despite not being asked by local or state authorities. The LA police chief said on Sunday that due to recent violence, perhaps the help may be needed after all.
Do we need them? Well, looking at it tonight, this thing has gotten out of control. Looking at the violence tonight, I think we got to make a reassessment.
Usually the National Guard is deployed at the request of the state governor. That was the case back in LA in 1992 after widespread violence and looting. Then President George H.W. Bush sent soldiers and Marines out onto the streets to restore calm and order after the Rodney King riots. The last time a president deployed troops without being asked by state officials was back in 1965, when President Lyndon B. Johnson used the National Guard to protect civil rights protesters during their march from Selma to Montgomery in the Deep South. Many critics believe Trump's actions are partly about his ongoing feud with Governor Newsom. The pair first clashed over wildfires in California in 2018 and then earlier this year. Newsom is a Democrat who's seen as a future presidential contender. But also this is about a president who has long sought to suppress protesters and label them as violent leftist radicals. Back in 2020, in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter protests, Trump deployed troops to fire tear gas at protesters outside the White House so he could stage this infamous photo opportunity. Trump critics will say this is the opportunity he has been waiting for, to say that Democrats cannot control their cities, that only he is addressing the issue of illegal immigration, and that perhaps he can really push executive powers, even invoking the Insurrection Act, which would allow him to use the military on U.S. soil, a rarely used move.
On California, are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it.
But if you're not planning to invoke that Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
What is the bar for sending Marines to
the bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
Everything's on the table, sir. Secretary has
We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need.
I can't believe it, dude. This dumb fuck's still going on about the goddamn auto pen, bro. You can, I mean, there's perhaps no better indication that this guy is just like lost his damn mind. Still talking about the fucking auto pen. It's really crazy that a hostile administration can just decide to agitate a state comprised of immigrants, a state that's very pro-immigrant, knowing that there will be a response for said provocations, and then use the response to said provocations to basically use the military to invade the state. That is insane. That's like civil, that is the Civil War. Like we're talking about Civil War shit. Hassan, my parents' take on this is that if their tax dollars police are disrespecting the citizens and the protesters are well within their rights to disrespect their tax dollars via vandalism of public property, disrupting infrastructure, tagging, etc. Are my parents based? Yes, because that is my attitude as well. We pay for this. I mean, I take it one step further. I jokingly will say, like, cops, if they want to behave like a pressure valve, they get paid incredible salaries. They get pensions, all paid for with the tax dollars. So if they want to fucking be a presence at protest, they have to eat it. Like, they just have to eat it, and it can't retaliate. It's like a all out rage cage almost. You know, they get overtime, they get hazard pay, they get pensions. They need to just sit there and eat it if they're going to be there. You know.
Make sure there's law and order.
While Trump has ruled out the Insurrection Act for now, the week ahead will be crucial. 200 National Guard troops have been deployed so far, but Governor Newsom has formally requested that the Trump administration put the troops back under the state's command. He said Donald Trump needs to pull back. He needs to stand down.
Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional. And I said it, I'll say it again, it's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not. And you're putting real people's lives at risk. This is a serious moment, and it requires serious leadership.
Whether he will remains to be seen, especially given just after midnight, Trump wrote on Truth Social, "Bring in the troops."
I'm joined now by Greg Swenson from Republicans Abroad. Greg.
Do I think this will de-escalate? Fuck no. Trump just deployed the military, dude. What are you talking about?
He little as hell though. Yo, he little as hell. He like 4'1". Hey, yo, he can't ride the roller coasters. He can't go to Six Flags. Hey, yo, he can't go to Six Flags.
That's brutal. Brutal. It's messed up. Short shaming. At this point, I think everybody knows there's a difference between short kings and manlets, right? There's a difference between short kings and manlets. Cops automatically can't ever be in the short king category and are ultimately, if you're a cop and short, pick a struggle, you're gonna be considered a manlet automatically.
Out to this report from Connor Hansen. Protests against ICE raids in LA turning violent over the week.
Bro, my fucking city's on fire. The Marines have been deployed. This guy's like, when is Switch 2? Even Ludwig and Cutie have one. 24-month subscriber. I don't know, man. I feel like there's some other stuff going on right now. No disrespect to the gaming watchers, you know. All 12 of you, you're going to have to wait a little bit. Okay, I haven't bought one yet.
Problem are professional agitators, they're insurrectionists, they're bad people, they should be in jail.
President Trump suggested Monday that he would support the arrest of Gavin Newsom after the California governor dared Trump's border czar to cuff him. Local leaders are accusing the president of inflaming the situation and demanding he withdraw the troops.
We do not need to see our city torn apart. And the idea that the federal government that should be assisting us is a contributing factor, I think is very tragic.
But ICE maintains the raids were necessary to remove violent criminals.
We were enforcing laws and following up on a serious criminal investigation on cartel financing.
In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
I
All right,
fucking
thank you so
hate
much
Tom
for that. A
Holland.
live
Look right now in Los Angeles as we are following it very closely. You can see protesters, demonstrators continue to gather. We heard from President Trump earlier on today talking about that deployment of the National Guard members, saying he is glad to do it, of course, calling out California Governor Gavin Newsom. Newsom, in response, filing a lawsuit against the Trump administration for that deployment, calling it against their state's sovereignty. So we're following that very closely here on Live Now from Fox. Let's quickly shift gears, though, here and talk about another major story, an international headline as Israeli forces, they seized a Gaza-bound aid ship and detained Greta Thunberg, the activist, and other activists who were on board early Monday. And I want to put up this from the Israeli Foreign Ministry as the selfie yacht, they're dubbing it, docked at Ashdod port a short while ago. The passengers are currently undergoing medical examinations to ensure they are in good health. And of course, the Israeli foreign ministry portrayed the voyage as a public relations stunt, saying on social media this selfie yacht of celebrities is safely making its way to the shores of Israel. For more on this right now, let's go out to Trey Yinks that details the story.
Being intercepted right now. One of the most famous activists in the world is now in Israeli custody. On Monday, the IDF stopped an aid boat from delivering food to the Gaza Strip. One of the passengers was Greta Thunberg, best known for her climate activism. She was working with a group called the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, trying to bypass Israeli security and deliver aid directly to Gaza. But Israeli officials say the boat was carrying less than a truck full of food when it was stopped.
This was a PR stunt, sailing under the flag of moral vanity. Here in the office, we call it the TikTok yacht.
Everyone on board is being processed and will be eventually deported, though the Flotilla Coalition says the ship was illegally boarded and claims the passengers were, quote, kidnapped by Israeli forces.
We're basically talking about people who were sailing in the international waters, and then Israel basically captured them and abducted them into Israel.
It comes as food is slowly starting to be distributed once again in Gaza after a nearly week-long pause to bring in more security. But the system is still being hampered by deadly violence near the aid sites, including a shooting on Monday that reportedly left 6 people dead.
Instead of the Americans giving us aid, they sprayed us with pepper gas, and they beat me and carried me and threw me outside. Are they bringing us aid? No.
The UN says the daily food intake in Gaza has now dropped below a level needed for people to survive. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that. Again, this is from the Israeli Foreign Ministry saying all the passengers of this selfie yacht are safe, unharmed. They are provided with sandwiches and waters. The show is over. Let's bring the conversation right now. Member of FDD, friend of the program, Joe Truzman. Joe, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. What exactly was the assessment by Israel of this? Was it a stunt? And how much aid could this group actually try to bring to Gaza?
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I think what we heard just a few moments ago from an Israeli official.
Okay, we don't. I don't know where my fucking press vest or press badge went for the press vest. I gotta find it, but here, busted out the old vest, dude. I have one badge. You may want to break out the respirator mask today, big dog. Pigs looking up big craziness. Yeah, I know. We will.
Greg, is this democratic, calling in the National Guard?
Oh, absolutely. I think what's not democratic is not protecting your citizens. I'm really kind of shocked at Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass for sitting on their hands and letting these protests turn into riots, and what they call peaceful protests turn into a picture of burning vehicles and violence and property destruction. So yeah, I think it's quite democratic for the president to make that decision.
But it's very unusual, isn't it, calling in the National Guard for such a small protest in comparison to ones in the past, and doing it without the governor's say-so?
Yeah, look, I think there's no such thing as, a small protest if it's violent. If it's peaceful protest, great. I think in many ways what the government's trying to do, the federal government, is protect the right to peaceful protest, which isn't really possible if people are rioting and burning cars and attacking law enforcement officials. So I think in this case, he let it go for a few days, but when things got out of hand, he felt he had to act. And I think most Americans will support that.
But isn't that the issue? He's been accused of flaring things up by bringing in the National Guard rather than taming things down.
Yeah, I think it takes some brave behavior, some brave decision making. We saw this with President Eisenhower. We saw it with President Kennedy and his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, when he was Attorney General, sending National Guard, sending federal troops to make sure that African-American children could go to school. And I think that was very brave of them to do against a great pushback from the Southern Democrats at the time. So I think this is a moment where the alternative would be doing nothing and letting these mostly foreign agitators, foreign protesters, or illegal migrants, destroy American property and threaten American lives. So I think this is a no-brainer.
Do you think this sets a precedent now that any protest that goes on for numerous days, that the National Guard will be called in then?
No, not at all. In fact, again, it's protecting the right to protest. But the right to protest is not to have outside agitators, especially if they're illegal migrants. They've already committed crimes. You know, this is something that I don't think most citizens would want to tolerate in their city.
But why couldn't this have been dealt with by local police? This isn't beyond the powers of local police. You know, this is the National Guard. This is a big deal.
That's right, Anya. It's a great question, and it's a great point. And what happened is the local police were unable to manage it, and they didn't get support from the governor or the mayor. So the local police couldn't handle it. And of course, the local authorities, at the direction of the mayor and the governor, are not cooperating with ICE, which is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So on one hand, the local police cannot handle it because the government has let these protests get so out of hand. And on the other hand, they're not cooperating with ICE. And I think that's the real tragedy here, is you have local governments that have decided they want to make their states and cities so-called sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, where they deliberately will not cooperate with federal authorities. And the federal government is tasked with protecting the borders. That's their responsibility. And they're not getting any cooperation. So, you know, this is something that no president wants to do at all. But I do think that there is a real problem here. You see a lot of Mexican flags in the area. You don't see a lot of American flags. So in many ways...
Well, what's wrong with you know, showing a Mexican flag?
Nothing at all. In fact, that's perfectly respectful, if it's respectful. But in this case, it's Mexican flags that are being flown while they're burning cars. And so it's important to make that distinction.
Greg Spencer, thank you very much.
Thanks, Anya.
This guy's a complete fucking monster.
In the heart of LA's downtown.
Why do they ask this fucking racist
cars
asshole?
On fire and tensions inflamed. Emotions stoked by the president's decision to deploy the military here. The Mexican flag is flying and anger directed at ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, after a series of raids.
This is where Donald Trump's immigrant...
I have that same fucking badge, but I don't have it anymore. I can't find it. So I have this little baby badge instead, you know, which is not enough, but it is what it is, you know. Timu badge, Vest twins, preparing to deploy to Los Angeles, Benny Johnson. Oh, come on, dude. His wife is going to let him, his beard wife is going to let him deploy to Los Angeles without her in tow. Interesting. Remember, he's not allowed to travel by himself any longer. Interesting. Timu badge. Yeah, he's deploying to West Hollywood. He's going on a cruise. He's going on another one of these gay cruises that he found. Do you have a gas mask and a helmet too? No, I don't. The only helmet I have is a Yugoslavian helmet. Like a real military helmet. There's a Yugoslav helmet.
Here continue to gather on this fourth day in Southern California around 3 o'clock local time. All right, let's take you right now out to, this might be David Huerta on the ground or members there of the SEIU. So this is David Huerta there. Let's listen in. He was detained on Friday, potentially released just mere moments ago. This is just coming into our newsroom. Let's listen into this.
Right word is forgiveness. That it was not my intention to be arrested, and I hope that I have not put them in harm's way.
This is the only helmet I have. That one of you guys sent me. I can't wear this.
Todos. Y quiero decirles que
All right, he's going a little bit into Spanish right now, so I want to give you a little bit more background on what we're seeing. It's David Huerta. That is him, the president of the SEIU California, has been charged with conspiring to impede an officer during an immigration demonstration in Los Angeles. He was currently in federal custody, expected to have a bond hearing. He was released on a bond, some $2,000, was released on a $50,000 bond. His arrest came after a rallying cry for union members nationwide, and Democratic politicians have called for his release, which ultimately did happen on bond today. Of course, the release marchers We're downtown Los Angeles. We've seen rallies for the SEIU in Washington, D.C., in Minnesota, and now in Los Angeles. You can see outside of this federal building. Let's just listen back into this moment. We're going to still stick with the shot, and this is what we do, live, raw, and unfiltered, taking it to you as it happens. You can hear the emotion in his voice, speaking from these notes, these handwritten notes, potentially, that he just got or that he wrote over the last several days. Let's just continue to listen in. David Huerta, the 58-year-old president of the Service Employees International Union in California. Let's listen in again.
I gave up. I can't find the fucking press patch. I have this little rinky-dink one. Anyway, he's afraid of being deported back to El Salvador and being considered a criminal for his Virgin Mary tattoo. What are you talking about? All right, let's get back to this.
Immigration policies have ended up almost 5 months into his presidency, pandemonium and lawlessness on the streets of one of America's biggest cities.
The protests are now in their third day, initially sparked by raids on workplaces across LA, a search to round up illegal immigrants. President Trump said he deployed the National Guard because the demonstrations here were out of control. But the protests had been mainly peaceful before, and now this.
Projectiles are being thrown at the police officers, and in turn, they're deploying these rubber bullets and tear gas.
It's crazy that he's just like literally firing that at the fucking press camera guy.
Governor Gavin Newsom says that this chaos is exactly what President Trump wants.
Chatters, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Enough jokes. Oh, bring a leaf blower. It's like there's half of the chat is freaking out because I don't have ear protection, or I don't have the proper, half the chat is freaking out because I don't have the proper ear protection and the proper masks. The other half is just joking and being like, bring a leaf blower, bring a leaf blower. I don't have any helmets, okay? I don't have any helmets. And no, I'm not going to bring water. There's plenty of water there.
Newsom argued the president had breached state sovereignty by ordering the National Guard here against his wishes. Trump described LA as an invaded and occupied city. Politicians on both sides of the aisle condemning the violence. This woman, one of a number arrested.
Why are you here today? Because a lot of my people are getting taken away. We've lived here all our lives, and it's like, how are you going to send us back to a place where we don't even know? You told us to come here for opportunity. We came, and it's like, I don't know, what do we do from here? They shot me in the leg with a rubber bullet. They hit me in the head. If you can see under my hair, there's bruising.
This is the most significant pushback yet against Donald Trump's immigration policy. One of the key arteries of this city, the main road in downtown Los Angeles, completely closed as police encircle protesters.
The president said that any violence which impeded officials would be treated as a form of rebellion. More protests are planned through tonight and into tomorrow. The White House crackdown on immigration has definitely been divisive. The fight back here clearly bringing some together.
That dude had a PFLP headband.
First of all, starting with the fact that authorities are telling, U.S. officials are telling our team at the Pentagon, again, they confirmed 700 Marines. They're coming from 29 Palms in California. They've been ordered to assist in Los Angeles. They think they're going to be here in the next 24 hours. What's your assessment of that move there?
It's a little surprising for me. I didn't see that coming, but we talked about it, but I didn't think it would happen. So it's a little surprising that it has.
Casey Musgraves, if protesters can't wear masks, I shouldn't be able to either. Luring Sonnevind, stick to music, Casey. It seems they took the country out of you after all. Luring Sonnevind from Stockholm, Sweden. I am the most patriotic Americanish. Why are you not doing patriot duty? Casey Musgraves.
They said it, and now they're deploying. Generally speaking, in these type of situations, we just use the National Guard. And I'll tell you, Kana, we've used them time and time again in New York and around the country. They've used them as well. They come in and they stabilize. So if you have government property or government operations going on, they'll stabilize that by standing guard. So that's what I think the Marines will do. That's what the National Guard is doing. I don't think it'll go any further than that. And here's an issue here going forward into the evening. Right now,
illegal aliens invaded America. The government of California aided and abetted that invasion. Violent mobs incited by California leaders attacked ICE officers to keep them from removing the invaders. California officials refused to send the police to rescue the ICE officers, hoping the rioters would succeed in shutting down ICE raids. This is an organized insurrection against the laws and sovereignty of the United States. So when Stephen Miller says this, California resident, by the way, when he says this, he's saying this specifically because that is what the administration is going to go with. This is what they're using as a way to claim that there's an insurrection taking place in California. That's what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what happens going forward. We shall see. But it is clear to me that at least for the time being, the only areas that the National Guard can work inside of is government facilities, like federal government facilities. They can protect federal government property. That's it. I don't know what it will look like with the Marines. I don't know what kind of, authority the Marines have here. It's a little bit unprecedented because I don't think Marines are trained on crowd control or riot control. Like, I guess usually it's the military police that conducts that sort of thing. And I certainly don't think the Marines are trained on riot control domestically. Yeah. Posse comitatus, it means that U.S. armed forces are not allowed to be deployed for domestic policing per the Constitution. So that is a directly unconstitutional act. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to just fucking shoot us and kill us? Like, I don't know.
There in the afternoon there, but you have a police chief who said he was overwhelmed. He needs help. Hopefully he's getting that. You also have a federal officers assaulted on Saturday, which really started the ratchet thing, this thing, as well as Bob. We see something going on. It's not over yet. Hopefully this will end peaceably, and tonight will be a different story than it was last night with all the property damage, the back and forth against the police. Two different strategies going forward. But now with this extra deployment here, I think they're just going to solidify government buildings. Is my guess.
Yeah,
which is what we've heard.
That's the only thing they have the legal authority to do. So they will seamlessly integrate with the National Guard. Press release. Approximately 700 Marines with 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division will seamlessly integrate with the Title 10 forces under Task Force 51 in the Los Angeles area. This implies that the only thing that they're allowed to do is protect federal government property. That's the only thing that they're capable of doing. I don't mean to backseat you or disparage the women folk of the Hasanabi heads, but do you have anything with long sleeves for the protest? Yeah, I'm gonna wear a jacket over this that I can I'm gonna put a jacket over, and if it gets too hot, I'll take it off, and if I need coverage, then I'll put the jacket on. Kent State, Tiananmen Square, those dudes, the British shot that started the revolution. My knowledge on armies killing protesters ends here, but that shit has precedent. No, I mean, like, it's unprecedented in the sense of, like deploying the U.S. military in domestic affairs is literally illegal. Like, the last time that the U.S. military was deployed on domestic soil, technically, I guess, was the Civil War, right? The National Guard, on the other hand, is supposed to be a military that can be deployed under unique circumstances. No, you're talking about National Guard. Kent State was National Guard. Guys, there is levels to this, okay? The National Guard or the U.S. military will sometimes be deployed, but only for like Hurricane Katrina or things like that, like devastating earthquakes. And they'll go in to help, never to engage in. They're not there to behave like police. They are not trained to behave like police.
The National Guard troops would do as well to really protect those federal buildings. But you touched on a couple of things here that I do want to highlight. One, we know at least 5 officers were injured. Another thing that we heard from the police chief as well, though.
5 officers were injured. Oh my God, dude. How many protesters do we see with like significant injuries just on camera?
In Los Angeles, he said that days 2 and 3 in a civil unrest generally tend to turn more violent. So it sounds like that's something that we saw last night. Do you think that moving into day 4 today, we might see a change there and that it may not get so violent tonight?
No, he's...
Oh, ICE is at the customs building on La Cienega and 111th. The building is used by Customs and Border for all international inbound and outbound cargo. Apparently, ICE is taking it over and using it as a staging area. They got LA scanner. You'll be next. Immediately adding FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, FBI Director Cash, at IceGov, at Scott Pressler. At Scott Pressler is so funny. What the fuck is Scott Pressler supposed to do? At CIA, at POTUS, at Israel. Dude, it's like, I mean, it is pretty crazy. When protests? Soon, chatter. I'm waiting for March to get here. And then we'll mobilize and we'll move to City Hall again. Yes, I am going today. Buy March a faster car. Okay. He already has a Supra. How the fuck is it legal for cops to flashbang you guys? I know the admin and police generally do not care about the law, but Jesus Christ. I mean, flashbang is the least worrisome aspect of
listen,
it.
the chief is, if you don't stem that the first night with significant deployment, you're going to have day 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have to go out there immediately when this happens and kind of stem this violence here. So I don't think it's going to get any better than the last night. Hopefully he has a resource. And it's really important to understand what you're seeing right now. This is just, yeah.
How does he afford a Supra living in LA? Brother, do you know? I mean, he's my producer. He's caked the fuck up. Thanks to your wonderful contributions to the Fear and Fund.
People presently, not yesterday, but presently just protesting in an orderly fashion, no problems, everybody's fine with that. At nighttime is a different strategy. You have people come out looking for trouble, which is what they had last night. So he needs a
Downtown LA protest right now. There's an undercover cop / plainclothes officer that assaulted my partner and is trying to instigate.
different strategy. I hope he has to replace. I hope he has the extra resources, because yesterday he did a great job in clearing out that area.
And our reporters on the ground really saw the same thing. They saw protests and they saw the tide really turn as the sun started to fall. Different people showed up. They were wearing different things. They were prepared in a different way. And so we'll certainly be watching closely to see how this unfolds today. Melissa, our thanks to you. And Robert, our thanks to you as always. We'll be checking in with you throughout the day.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent.
He wants Gavin Newsom to be arrested by Thomas Homan. Here's a funny thing that also happened. California National Guard troops sent by Trump to LA amid immigration protests are sleeping on concrete floors. No Fed funding for food, water, fuel, equipment, or lodging. Source: currently, there's no plan for where everyone is sleeping tonight. That is so funny to me that, like, these guys are so goddamn incompetent. They can't even actually do a violent, tyrannical military takeover correctly. The federal government can't even fucking find money under the floorboards to pay the state, the California National Guard. And they're not going to get paid out of the California state budget because it's the federalized troops this time. Hit him with the GI, your government has abandoned you. Yeah, true. I do worry with the Marines coming in. I do legitimately worry that they're going to, like, shoot and kill someone, you know? Hopefully not me, but that is definitely something I worry about.
Over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
What does your intel tell you about these people causing all the problems in LA? Are they people ICE is trying to deport, or are they professional agitators?
The people that are causing the problem are professional agitators. They're insurrectionists. They're bad people. They should be in jail. Thank you.
Tom Homan, the border czar, said to me yesterday he did not rule out literally arresting you, nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his work. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what?
Lay your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Lay your hands off these poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man.
Oh my God. He wants to be president so fucking bad, dude. Okay, dude. The fucking tough guy act. He knows where I'm at. Come on. I'm trying to be president. Arrest me, Tom Homan. Arrest me. The Marines mostly aren't trained on non-lethal weapons. They know how to kill. No, I understand that. I don't know. I don't know what their training looks like. And I feel like they're not supposed to be deployed on domestic soil until the Trump government decides they want to have fun with it. Yeah. Come on my podcast, Tom Homan. Arrest me on my podcast, Tom Homan. Come on the pod, please.
Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after.
Yeah, January 6th, baby. January 6th, getting completely out of hand. Sorry, no, this is Los Angeles, exactly. Yeah, look at how crazy Los Angeles is, dude. Hey, here's a protest filled to the brim with American flags. Guys, is this what you guys wanted? All the fucking dumbass liberals who are like, why don't they use American flags in their protests? Well, there's one Canadian flag. Well, there's another American. There's an extra American flag. Did you see that one? Right here. It peeps up in the corner for a second. Look at that. Extra American flags. Trump flags. Those are the most American. The Gadsden flag. Flags don't matter. Also, Hassan, look at the flags. I'm joking, dude. I don't give a shit.
After me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy.
David Dane is there. Combination of U.S.-Mexico flag in downtown LA. If that works for
I care
people.
about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
So, anti-ICE rioters in L.A. blocking the highway and setting fire to the city in protest of Trump's administration's illegal immigration crackdown.
Jonathan Hunt is live outside of the Metro Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles with the latest. Jonathan?
Ainsley, Lawrence, Brian, good morning to all of you once again. Yeah, we're outside the Metropolitan Detention Center right here in downtown LA. Still a very tense scene on the streets here. You can see the police cars lined up as they are at various intersections all around downtown LA right now as a result of what we have witnessed over the last few days. It all began, of course, on Friday with those ICE raids targeting illegal immigrants. That sparked the initial protests that we saw here. And then
we're gonna go out
on
in a second.
Saturday, there was even more protest sparked by ICE activity in the city of Paramount. That's about 25 miles south of downtown LA. And with the protesters then clashing with federal.
We saw people show up with hammers to break away the concrete to be able to throw it on rocks. People that were clearly prepared to come in and do this. And we saw some protesters even wearing gas masks so that the tear gas would be ineffective if law enforcement used it against them.
And Mike, I have to say I'm surprised that only one was charged with attempted murder for throwing that Molotov cocktail, but we saw all of those people throwing things at those officers that were seeking shelter
under the freeway.
On the freeway, and none of those people.
So, no, I'm not yet. Anyway, I mean, that would be CHP. These numbers are from LAPD. CHP was the ones that were getting things thrown at them. But, I mean, CHP was in such a position that they...
Bro, if Gavin wants to get arrested, he could just walk down the fucking street to City Hall. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to demand Tom Homan come to your fucking podcast studio and get a podcast out of it, right? Like, you could just as easily get arrested. There are a million fucking cops on the streets. You know, they are very excited at the prospect of doing an arrest.
All of those to try to find these people, charge them, arrest them. The FBI has already put out posters with social media video looking for people that they accuse of injuring federal officers.
Well, there's something very similar happened during the January 6th attack on the Capitol as well.
The feds used that for the better part of a year or 2 years to be able to
found a lot of
track down people.
What is this? A new op has entered the chat. Shockingly, he's also a rapist. Oh, I saw this one. Toby Tobuscus, Hassan Piker, I'm coming to kill you. Yeah, I mean, what do I say to this dude? I mean, cool, man, I guess. Okay.
Gathered there, a large crowd, and even in the 30
That
or
guy
so
has
minutes
been
we've
a
been on the
right-wing
air,
grifter.
we can
It's
tell that
not
the crowd has
new.
gotten a little larger.
Yeah, and on the right side, we can actually see they are moving. They were gathered, and now we see that
there
they're
they are.
actually moving along the freeway there. Is that the 101 or is that the 110?
I think that's still the 101.
101 on the right side there, and they are walking alongside that, yes, the 101
And
there.
I think, and John, so what's noticeably different too is we had that skirmish line of officers. Now they have parked a ton of patrol cars right there as well. And I think that group just, you know, they were sitting right here. They've walked around of the patrol cars, and now they're kind of on the other side. And John, if you can go back to the right a little bit, that group is now, I believe, merged with the larger group that is over there. You can still see some of them kind of walking. They came through this way, and now they're going to go join that other group. So I'm not really sure why CHP didn't want them to cross right there, but all they did was go down a block and come over.
Yeah. And they are trying to keep all of these protesters off of the freeways there, keep them off of the 101. We know as we now get closer to 3:30 that there will be more traffic in the downtown area as more people start to leave their jobs, heading home for the day, that, you know, they want to keep all of these people away from those freeways because we know things will get definitely a lot worse if they make it there.
And Mike, going back to something you said just moments ago, which we talk about the professional agitators that police saw, people using handheld radios to talk to others within the crowd. And it really was surprising to watch, as you were mentioning. I saw a shot from SkyCal where you could see people barricaded themselves behind from SkyCal just looked like a pink barricade, which turned out to be those pink benches
and
from
tables.
Grand Park. I mean, that is incredible that they could rip something like that out of probably a bolted cement foundation and move it around like the way they did. And we did see it on video where they were breaking the parts of the curb, grabbing landscaping rocks, anything to throw it down to the CHP officers.
I mean, they even ripped a street sign that was concreted into the ground and somehow were able to get that out of the dirt and pick it up and throw it over the overpass down onto the CHP cars. And, you know, some of those CHP officers, I mean, they would come out and they would try to put, you know, they'd throw something down, light it on fire, and then CHP would try to poke out and use a fire extinguisher to put it out. I even saw one CHP officer use his OC spray, his pepper spray, to try to put the flames out. But as soon as they even, for a second, poked their head out, then you have, you know, more rocks and chunks of concrete being thrown at the officers. So it was a very, very, very tense situation. I mean, out of everything that happened last night, for a law enforcement perspective, that was, I think, when they were kind of in one of the more dangerous situations. And then
it was scary.
Yeah, and then of course we had that van situation. I mean, it was not a good situation last night at all.
No, and we were just showing there on the right side.
Are you going to the protest again? Why are you wearing the press vest? Yes, I'm going to the protest again.
Moving. We've seen the protesters moving, but it looked like a group of, I believe, LAPD officers were just moving into a new position. I'm not sure what they were moving towards, or you know, if it's a group, or if they're trying to get closer to that larger group. It's hard to say at this point from this vantage point. But I do know that SkyCal is trying to show us many angles of what is happening right now as these groups of people are starting to grow. But also, we want to continue to mention that so far, these groups have been peaceful. We have not seen any problems at this point. We have not seen any vandalism. I know it's a very different scene from what Mike was just talking about from last night, where we saw a store being looted. We saw Waymo set on fire, at least 3 of them. We saw so much graffiti happening. And as Mike was talking about, that van that was really just racing through the streets. Was near one of our reporters.
Which, by the way, I followed up with East Los Angeles Sheriff Station today because they ended up arresting him after we followed him with SkyCal. He had a gun on him the whole time. Oh, wow. So they ended up arresting him for assault with a deadly weapon, which would have been the van. They also arrested him for felon in possession of a firearm. Oh, wow. So that means he was armed at the time. And when those sheriff's deputies caught up with him, he was in the process of switching cars. So he was in the minivan, and then he was getting into a white SUV, and he had walked back to the minivan for a second, I think, to get something when the sheriff's deputies pulled up and took him into custody.
And thankfully they did, because that was some crazy driving that we saw, and even blew by one of our crews that were out there last night.
Yeah, I mean, we were right in that same spot. He started doing reverse donuts in the intersection and then turned and came back and gunned it right towards the crowd and slammed on the brakes. That's where our Lori Perez was. Right. You know, I was also tagged in some social media video, which appears to be the same person doing something similar the night before on Saturday night. So I don't know what this person's kind of deal is, but he seemed to be out there, and his driving was so dangerous. He nearly clipped a bicycle at Union Station.
You saw that,
I saw the bicyclist fall off because he got so close to him. I mean, it was remarkable that nobody got seriously hurt in that.
Do we know if that van was stolen?
I don't know the answer to that. They didn't arrest him for it. So when I talked to the watch commander today at East LA Station, the only charges he was facing was the assault with a deadly weapon and the felon in possession of a firearm. They didn't charge him with, I was wondering if they were going to try to charge him with DUI or anything, if he was under the influence, but didn't charge him with that and didn't charge him with any kind of stolen vehicle charge.
And then dumping the van and then easily getting into the white truck. Pretty amazing that he was able to do that. What are we seeing here, Mike?
We are hearing that the city is putting out a tactical alert. Is that what I'm hearing? We are seeing this crowd right here on the right side of your screen grow, and now they are in the middle of the street. They were just kind of on the steps on the sidewalk, but now they are in the middle of that roadway there. And I'm trying to, is that, Juan, you may know better than I, which street that is there in front of that building?
On the left
is it Los Angeles Street?
Yeah, where the crowd is Los Angeles Street.
Los Angeles.
And then the left side is the Metropolitan Detention Center.
That's right.
Okay. So we are watching and we are hearing that a tactical alert is being issued. We don't know if it's just because the crowds are growing or if there is now a problem that is happening, that they are responding to some type of incident. But so far, we have not heard of any skirmishes, anything happening other than this large crowd growing right there in front of that federal
so he told me to come
and
talk
maybe
to
that's
the
it,
chat.
right? Just the crowd is
What's
growing
up,
and they want to get
guys?
all
How we
units available
doing?
and ready to go if they need to, right, Mike?
Yeah, so basically what it means is anybody that's
What'd
in
I
a uniform
miss?
is not allowed to leave.
What's been
so
going
that
on?
is citywide. They can do it differently. They can do a modified
Anything
tactical alert
interesting
where you do
happening?
it bureau by bureau. They have chosen to do a citywide tactical alert where anybody in the city that is on duty is not allowed to leave at this point. And we saw that last night. I mean, we saw officers
God,
that would
chat's
normally patrol the
moving so
streets
fast,
of
nobody will
Sylmar in
realize
downtown
I'm-
LA. That would normally patrol the streets of Venice in downtown LA. So they were pulling from everywhere to be able to handle this issue.
Not
And, you know,
everybody
as the day
talk
goes
at
on,
once,
or as the
okay?
days go on of
Dude,
these
you have
protests,
a Supra. How do you guys
law
know
enforcement
that?
gets
Show
more and more
Supra pic. Why do people keep talking about the
more and
Supra?
more kind of, ready to handle these things. More and more CHP
Is the
officers
Supra
showing
manual?
up.
No.
You
Did
know,
he- did
the
he
LA
tell
County
you?
Sheriff Robert Luna, he told us on the phone last night
I've had a Supra for like 2
he
years.
activated the mutual aid plan
Call
for the county.
Coyote.
So that's where you get Pasadena PD, Burbank PD, Alhambra PD.
I like
As much as
my
LAPD has to deal with
right
downtown,
eye
this
is
is a
super
small fraction
fucking
of the city.
fucked up and
This
swole
was not a
today.
large
Actually, I've been
portion
wearing
of the city.
sunglasses
This is
yesterday,
several blocks
realistically,
of what is a very mutual
but
aid
I'll
from
turn it down a
CHP, the
little
sheriff,
bit if
the
it's too
outside
loud.
agencies will allow LAPD to have to draw on less of their resources to make sure that they
Who
can
bought
still
you the
cover the rest
Supra,
of the city.
man?
And the mayor did say that
The Fear and
they were
Patriot.
outmanned.
Yeah.
So to a certain point, there were definitely
Turn
a lot
down
more
the volume on
protesters
the
and they have
vid.
officers
I didn't
on the
just
street,
buy the
so
Supra. I've had it for like
I
2
guess
years.
any help they can get there is not a bad thing.
Look at me live producing the podcast. But yeah, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back into the fucking city. Look, I'm from LA originally. This whole shit has been kind of surreal. We've been to a lot of these demonstrations of all sorts all over the city and all over the world. This is definitely, in my experience, the most like aggro from the jump I've ever been at. And it's kind of weird seeing it in like streets that I grew up in. I mean, I grew up in a suburb of LA, but I'd come to LA all the time. You know, I'm familiar with all these streets, and now I live in like LA and have for like a decade, like LA proper. So it's really surreal to just see like the modern day like Gestapo just fucking stormtroopers marching down the streets where I used to go buy like medical marijuana when I was 19.
So everybody's got a clear. I mean, this is a very
among other
coordinated
things.
effort, which Chief Jim McDonald was talking
I'm
about
not a
last night.
stoner.
So Friday night, when Friday night's
That was
issue
a
happened,
joke for y'all.
you know, it was largely.
But yeah, and like it's crazy because like I mean I'm sure Hassan's mentioned this and you guys saw it yesterday, but I feel like usually they at least like pretend to be pretty docile until the sun goes down and then they start unloading on people. But yesterday we got there like 2-3 p.m. and they were just like unloading on people every 10 minutes on cooldown. I'm just like, God damn, bro, the sun is out.
We scrambled.
We can see
within
you.
38 minutes to come help you. He absolutely denied the accusation by ICE that it took LAPD 2 hours to respond
was
to the
crazy.
location. And what they had to do is form what they call mobile field forces. So when you get crowds like this, they're not just going to send a patrol car with 2 officers in.
No
They're
more
gonna form
vampires.
what are called mobile field forces.
Max
And
DPS
that will
on
bring
cooldown. That's what I'm
4, 8,
saying.
You know, however many group of officers they can get in and get them into
Infinite
a
mana.
position,
Yeah, they don't have
very
mana. That's the
quickly.
other part
And
that
that's what has to
sucks.
happen. That's
Is
how they
like
have to act
we're
when they don't have.
we're against people that have
you
no
know,
mana. They just have
knowledge
cooldowns.
that something is going to happen. So that's what the chief was saying yesterday.
They have
As
cooldowns
the days
and
go on,
bloodlust.
they are becoming more and more prepared. more and more coordinated with outside agencies within their own agency. So we start to see this more kind of cohesive response from law enforcement as this.
Earlier, you were telling us the president of SEIU bailed out $50,000.
They toggled Earth. Little League of Legends joke for you guys.
We're wondering with the people that are detained, do we know
he's in the
whether
bathroom
still
man.
detained?
I set up the IRL bag. We're ready to go.
That's been one of the issues that we've had. So ICE on Saturday morning said, you know, we arrested, I think it was Friday night, they said that they detained 44 people.
44. Bro's taking the longest shit ever. I'm saying.
But 44 for
I'm saying, whatever, this is more fun.
Then Saturday morning, ICE puts out a statement that says,
I hear him coming.
These people were accused of a litany of what they called violent crimes.
Okay,
but
goodbye.
ICE will never actually tell us who is accused of what. They always give us this kind of list of crimes that they say these people are alleged to have committed. We follow up with them and we say, which people are you accusing of which crimes? And we never get that answer back from them.
So unless we hear from the family, Mike, we have to assume that they're still in custody.
Right, or attorneys. I mean, we spoke with that attorney member Thursday night. Who
Getting
said,
ready for civil unrest. Get ready with me.
From the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, but they detained him anyway. So it's just this kind of fluid thing. And the problem is if they're not.
We're on our way. We're going to be heading down.
Issues, they're not necessarily sending them to criminal court. So we can't follow that process
LA,
through the criminal court
we're
system
heading down to the Los Angeles City
Hall.
Hall.
They're going through the immigration court system, which makes it much harder for us to track.
Yeah, and a lot of those families are saying they don't know where their loved ones are. They're left in the dark. We want to go back to our Jasmine Veal, who is on the ground there near Alvera Street, I believe, still where that crowd was growing. Jasmine, can you hear us?
Bring water with you? They have water there, bro.
We just kind of walked with this crowd. They've all came together now right in front of the Robert Young Federal Building. You can see the
we're
show
doing
of force
gaming.
there, or the National Guard troops that have
We're doing gaming right now. It's Grand Theft Auto IRL. All right, we don't have earplugs in the house, but I'm sure someone will have it in the fucking when we go there, okay? And yeah, we're doing Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go to the polls.
Here on Los Angeles Street, right next to the Los Angeles Mall, which is across the street from LA City Hall. But again, this is a Robert Young building as we get a little bit closer here to show you as they are facing the officers in the riot gear, keeping them from moving any further into the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement building, where which was the
this is near City Hall, right?
Point, over the weekend, the fourth
like
day
this is next to City Hall, right?
Protesters prepared, I guess they tell me.
Okay, good, because I'm gonna see if we can. I'm gonna try to get as close as we can to City Hall once again.
Pads on because she said she'd been hit with rubber bullets yesterday, so she came with knee pads, gloves.
Torching the Waymo is a measure of the lucidity of the protest. It's just clean activism, man. It's like torching a cop car, but there's no fat guy inside who's banned from dating apps. An empty piece of VC property that symbolizes an equal vacant humanity in the jerk-off, teeth-whiten, get-rich big tech of the past 15 or so years. Nothing of value at all is lost. It just intuitively gets destroyed. Even in a Philly Super Bowl riot, the Waymo should be the first to go. Great take from Slime. Yeah. Why are you laughing? He has takes like that all the time. All right. Here, I'm going to shut this off for now. See you on the other side, chatters.
Damn, this guy's good.